Zhuo Fan's finger touched the lake's surface, and the heavenly sovereign's reflection grinned back at him. His brother's supreme path promised only destruction, but fusing 9 paths might be the only way to survive what comes next. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this cultivation road with him. Whoosh, on a clear night, a falling star crossed the skies and fell in a bush. Once the light faded, it revealed a hazy human shape. Where? Zhuo Fan looked around at the vegetation and quiet scenery. It felt like paradise, with not a trace of dirt marring its beauty. In the center of the meadow was a clear lake. The perfect surface instilled peace in him. Zhuo Fan crouched and touched the water. A ripple spread through the clear lake, and 2 people were reflected back. One of them was a young master in white robes, eminent and elegant. The other was cruel in his features. As they played chess, they all had calm gazes, having already known how this game would end. He knew who this was, the heavenly sovereign. Zhuo Fan gasped, "What is this place? The lake can monitor the heavenly sovereign, and he can't sense it. What is going on? The sovereigns have sharp senses. They're connected to the world and will sense anyone looking at them. Little brother, you lose again." The heavenly sovereign's reflection placed one last piece and declared to the other, "This is your 99th round without a single win. Isn't this enough, younger brother? Did the heavenly sovereign have a younger brother? Didn't he call me like that as well? How come there's another? Or does he indulge in calling everyone that? You call yourself a brother when you're killing the other with your bare hands." Zhuo Fan watched on. The man in white smirked, shaking his hand. "I accept my meager skill in defeat, ha ha ha. What meager? Reaching my stage and playing chess is a matter of skill." The heavenly sovereign stood up. "I play for the world, for the cosmos, enacting my path. We both comprehend the heavenly Taos, and I have reached the sovereign stage with it. Another 8 have achieved their path as well. As the heavenly Tao's sovereign, I'll be honest. I can feel the world's laws, and there can only be 10 sovereigns. When will you achieve your path and take the last spot?" The man in white said, "When it comes, it comes. Humph, when it comes. Your path is corrupted from all the emotions and will never succeed. To achieve your path, you need to be like me and cast out all interferences. Oh, elder brother, you're too dogmatic." The man in white stood with a smile. 9 serenities, and the others have achieved their path despite all emotions, haven't they? The sovereign stage has nothing to do with your emotions, ha ha ha. Enough of your fake smiles. The heavenly sovereign glared and held his head high. Heaven is supreme while the earth is below. The heavenly Taos are ultimate. We comprehend the heavenly Taos and must be heartless. All the others comprehended human paths. Humans live on the ground beneath the heavenly Taos. The difficulty is like heaven and earth. We are chosen by the world to grasp the heavenly Taos. Don't talk to me about those lowly sovereigns. The man in white was solemn. "Elder brother's void path is mighty, but you mustn't deny the others' paths. If the world were heartless, why would it contain all in creation? This proves it's the people that do not understand the world's love and emotions. The heavenly Taos are not heartless, for that wouldn't be the heavenly Taos. Humph, contain all creation in your dreams." The heavenly sovereign mocked, "First comes the world and then everything else. The world is everlasting, while everything else isn't. That means the world will always be here, operating by its own laws, while the beings within are merely props on stage. All beings depend on the world while it is independent. The world is heartless, so stop trying to mingle the heavenly Taos with humanity. This is why you're stuck in reaching your path." The man in white stiffened. "And what if heaven has emotion?" "Impossible. I'm saying if. Heaven with emotion means degeneracy. A world with emotions makes it no different from everything mundane and secular, unable to last forever." The heavenly sovereign spoke with conviction. "One last reminder, there's only one sovereign spot left. Better hurry up." The heavenly sovereign left in a huff. The man in white hesitated. Zhuo Fan frowned. "The heavenly sovereign is my nemesis, but he has a point. The world is heartless. Choosing the heavenly Taos yet still sticking to emotions will only drag you down. But there's someone with the hope of becoming sovereign still around, to be regarded by the heavenly sovereign too. Speaking of, is the little brother kin or is he a stepbrother? It has to be kin. If he started saying younger brother left and right like he did with me, he'd have been sucked dry by now." Zhuo Fan shook his head. "What were they hinting at? What a strange way of talking. What do you mean one spot left? Haven't all the spots been taken? You also believed the heavenly sovereign's words." An aged voice came from behind. Zhuo Fan flinched and saw a man covered in black with a gray beard approaching. Zhuo Fan bowed at once, figuring the guy had to be some mighty expert coming in this mystery place. The old man patted his shoulder to stop him, crouching by his side. "Youngster, there's no need for that. We're all mere soul remnants that could vanish any day now. What does courtesy do for us at this point? Let's just see what the heavenly sovereign is up to, since that's the only thing we can do, ha ha ha." Senior, you have a broad perspective, ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan's face twitched, sitting by the lake and watching on while his mind was abuzz. Who is this guy? He's quite chatty too. He'd rather watch someone else's drama than look after his vanishing soul. I guess all dying people are chatty. Oh, where am I anyway? Why can I see the heavenly sovereign's matters? Zhuo Fan cupped his hands. Senior, what is this place? Why is the heavenly sovereign's family drama conveyed? You don't know? The man blinked. Zhuo Fan shrugged. I just got here without knowing. A friend brought me. Oh, I see. You must have some great fortune. This is not a place where anyone can just waltz in. Just by coming here, you have a high chance of being reborn, so long as you let go of one thing. What? Your memories, emotions, and everything else. The old man's eyes shone. This is the heavenly rebirth lake, offering hope for all broken souls that they might be reborn. Any and all that succeeded left behind everything so that they could go on, broken souls included. The heavenly rebirth lake. Zhuo Fan looked around the quiet place, shouting, the rebirth sovereign's seat of enlightenment. Are you him, senior? Ha ha ha, wrong. I'm just another broken soul. The old man smiled. The rebirth sovereign doesn't usually come here. All broken souls with deep feelings can leave the past and everything behind to be reborn. No sovereign intervention required. It is our fortune. Zhuo Fan turned to the giddy old man staring at the lake. Since that's all it takes, what are you still doing here? You also mentioned vanishing. Can't you be reborn? Did you not hear me? Rebirthing comes with a condition, to leave everything behind. Some things are more important than my life, and I would rather vanish than be reborn. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look. Zhuo Fan's heart stirred, cupping his hands. People would rather be destroyed from this world than ever let go of some memories. Few were those that held something else more precious than their lives. Fewer still those he met, worthy of respect. Zhuo Fan rose from his gesture and the old man showed a nasty grin. Besides, getting to see people's drama is quite fun, better than the mundane world, hee. Plop, Zhuo Fan almost fell in the lake, his face twitching. Curses, it's all because he's dying for gossip. Here I was thinking you're worthy of respect. My poor heart. Look, something's coming up, don't miss it. The old man waved in excitement, looking like some perv peeking at the girls' showers with his wretched grin. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, though he paid attention. Knowledge was power. Regardless of how he would face this powerful enemy, the more he learned, the better. Zhuo Fan's eyes widened as he stared at the lake. That man in white again, are these his memories? The old man nodded. As the heavenly sovereign's younger brother who formed a sovereign path, he should be a half-sovereign. Even he would choose to be reborn. Just how cruel was that ancient war? He could imagine why this great younger brother died. A situation in which not even the heavenly sovereign could protect him had to be the Great War. Zhuo Fan watched the man in white in a cave having lonely eyes. A familiar voice was heard. Must you do this? That voice. Zhuo Fan shuddered. The Nether Sovereign. He's involved? The old man grinned. In the water, the man in white hesitated, but his voice was firm. I can't refute elder brother's words. He might be right. The heavenly Taos are heartless while mine is too emotional, preventing me from reaching the sovereign stage. While both of you comprehended the heavenly Taos, he did it through the heartless void path, as for you, the emotional heavenly Taos. Talking of previous and current heaven is the same, regardless of right and wrong. The comprehension is of different aspects. If you must insist on separating them, his heavenly Taos were before humanity, while yours is after it. From how I see it, your heavenly Taos is more fitting with humanity to reach the supreme Tao stage above the sovereign stage. The Nether Sovereign spoke. The man in white sighed. Why mention that when I can't even reach the sovereign stage? Nether Sovereign, did you do what I asked? I did. The Nether Sovereign sighed, and with a wave, a black sculpture of a woman appeared. This is made of the Nether Sea's yin crystal formed for 10,000 years from millions of lost souls' grievances. As your emotions are tied to the heavenly Taos, these grievances are too few to seal it. The man in white nodded. Thank you. He made a sign. Wait, the Nether Sovereign spoke up, drawing the man in white's attention. The heavenly sovereign is your elder brother, and ever since he reached the sovereign stage with the void path, we all know his character. By sealing all your emotions in this sculpture, won't that ascertain our stance with each other? The man in white sighed. Time will tell. He made the sign again, and the space shook. A multicolored light flew out of him and into the sculpture. 5 colors, Zhuo Fan gasped. Brothers indeed, with the sovereign path having 7 colors, he reached 5 already. He's not just a half-sovereign, but a mere step from the sovereign stage. But why didn't he become the 10th sovereign in the end? He forsook all emotions from the heavenly Taos. The old man shook his head. The man in white turned stiff and cold after that, looking at the Nether Sovereign with icy eyes. Thanks, so our friendship ends here. The Nether Sovereign sighed and left. The man in white was now void of any emotion, removing all semblance of his humanity, so that he could now cultivate the heartless heavenly Taos. 3 months later, he still couldn't reach the sovereign stage. He had great talent, yet he still couldn't do it. In his greatest confusion, his heart stirred, restless for him to do something. So he followed his heart and left cultivation, returning to where he sealed his emotions in that cave. "You're back," a soft voice reached him as an incredible woman stood at the entrance of the cave with a big smile. The man in white shuddered. Zhuo Fan gasped, Isn't that the sealed sculpture? Why is it a human?" The man in white thought the same, his heart frantic. What trick did the Nether Sovereign pull? Didn't he say that the woman's sculpture is a vessel? Why is it human? Was it made after her? The woman walked over and explained everything, while he had no intention of pushing her away. This sculpture was filled with regrets and sorrows, but when he poured all his heavenly Tao's cultivation inside, it nurtured true emotion. The seal couldn't contain it either, resolving all the negative emotions and turning them into pure emotions. But what was this item with emotion, human or demon? She could speak and had the white man's emotions as her foundation. He was the first to sense her life, while the woman kept staying by his side. He couldn't tolerate this as he cultivated the heartless heavenly Taos now, breaking away from all emotions. However, the emotions that the woman had came from him. He couldn't find it in himself to drive the woman away. It was like they were always connected. One thing led to another, and the man in white got used to her as the days passed, becoming her master. Due to his cultivation residing within her, she was fast in cultivating. But she was not human, just a spirit formed from emotions. After a few years, she reached saint stage. The man's heartless heavenly Taos were now tainted with feelings of love for the woman. The woman also loved him beyond measure. They were a match made in heaven, leading to the re-establishment his old friendship with the Nether Sovereign and the others as well. The Nether Sovereign showed a bright smile. The Nether Sovereign is so vile. Zhuo Fan clicked his tongue. Did he plan for the woman to stir his heart? Wasn't she but a sealed vessel from the start? Why not just make a box? The old man smirked. Isn't it great the young man recovered? He was supposed to reach the sovereign stage, but didn't the Nether Sovereign delay him? Zhuo Fan sneered. Now I know why he was never among the 10 sovereigns, haha. The old man shook his head. He didn't reach it because his path had regret, not because his path was wrong. After cutting himself of all emotions, wasn't he stuck all the same? Kid, don't you have anyone you love? I do. What will you pick, her or the sovereign stage? Zhuo Fan smiled. Her? Why, I go where my heart is. Zhuo Fan nodded at the man in white in the reflection. By clashing with your heart, you're blocking any chance at reaching the sovereign stage. The heavenly sovereign's younger brother only strayed further when he abandoned all emotion. The old man nodded. You do understand. Yeah, and I seem to be in the same situation as him, ha ha ha. Forget her. A cold tone had Zhuo Fan jumping in fright. He looked back to see the heavenly sovereign's icy face staring at the man in white. I thought you'd be a sovereign when I came out of seclusion, but not only do you still have emotion, you even have a woman. How can you grasp the heavenly Taos? The man in white rebutted. It doesn't matter. With elder brothers shocking the world is enough. I don't need to be a sovereign as well. I don't care about you or the glory of my clan. I am me, the heavenly sovereign, wielder of the void path. The heavenly sovereign's tone was ever cold. I urged you to be a sovereign out of instinct, just like rearing a pet. Humans say animals have feelings, but are they as complex? Everything follows the heavenly Taos reproducing. I am the same. As my younger brother, I hoped we'd grasp the heavenly Taos together and grow beyond human condition instead of making me take pity on you. The man in white raised an eyebrow. Pity. Elder brother, I thought you're heartless. Yes, pity is speaking too highly. What I mean is not to make me despise you like every other bug. The heavenly sovereign's eyes shone with bloodthirst. If you don't want to cut them off, I'll kill that woman for you. The quiet lake reflected the ancient heavenly sovereign's cold gaze. Zhuo Fan sighed. The heavenly sovereign must be a bachelor, unable to accept others getting together. He's even budding in his younger brother's happiness. And he calls himself heartless. This is jealousy at play, and it's obvious. That's not heartless but bitter. Ha ha ha, you're wrong there. The heavenly sovereign has the void path, a heart that can never be infected by anything. He's only following his Tao heart of heaven being supreme and earth below. He believes that his younger brother should follow his footsteps. Any deviation from this is seen as an obstacle that needs to be removed. The old man smirked. Let's leave the chatter and keep watching. Zhuo Fan nodded and returned to the lake. The man in white was in the same cave. He sealed his emotions along with 2 people. The mood was heavy. The man in white looked at the woman with coldness. We are through, finished. Why? The woman's eyes shook. The man in white said, I want to reach the sovereign stage and you're in the way. The heavenly Taos are heartless and I don't want to have anything to do with you. You think it's that easy. I'm born of your true feelings. I can sense what your heart is feeling. I know you do. That's why I came to cut it off in person. The man in white took a deep breath. Before her shocked eyes, he shook and a 5-colored glow flew out. Zhuo Fan cried out, an incomplete sovereign path. The glow exploded and scattered, leaving behind a faint mist. The man in white spewed blood, his face pale. His eyes grew dim like a walking corpse. He then left the woman behind, taking on an aura of death and solitude that decayed the forest he was around. The grass and trees, birds and insects all died. There was no life around. The woman teared up, her lips trembling. How ruthless, teardrops traced down as she clenched her fists. You went as far as removing the core of your emotions just to get rid of me. But didn't you say it's for forming a sovereign path? By removing the core of your emotions, you're no longer human. How can you attain sovereignty now? The man in white dragged his weary figure out of the cave, never sparing her a glance. Zhuo Fan's heart was filled with sadness. Senior, what's this core of emotions? Why can't you attain your path by cutting it out? Every human is born with it, a part of them. The old man looked despondent. Humans have 3 relationships: loyalty, filial piety, and siblinghood. Then also 5 virtues: benevolence, wisdom, courtesy, honesty, and trust. These stand at the core of the human condition. They serve as a foundation for cultivators to gain enlightenment, the basics of their humanity, the human path. But those aren't important, for humans have emotions at their core. It's something no other creature, not even spiritual beasts, possesses. Regardless of good and evil, human cultivators can't ever escape their emotions. Even demonic cultivators, they learn through the hate, regret, jealousy, and envy. While the heavenly sovereign, he became empty, removing his emotional center to become heartless. When one removes even that, they can't even be called heartless or emotionless. But he just ripped it out of himself, just like a eunuch without his bits. It's impossible for him to achieve his path. For achieving a path means understanding it to perfection. How can he do that when he is incomplete? The heavenly sovereign would have long done this if that was all it took to do it too. Zhuo Fan nodded, looking at the lone and proud figure with a sigh. He knew it was hard to remove his love completely, so he came to this cruel solution in removing his emotion center, just so the heavenly sovereign wouldn't touch her. It's clearly out of supreme emotion that he chose to be dead inside. This makes it even more emotional. Why does this feel familiar? It feels like I've gone through this before. Oh, really? Then I'll wait for you to reincarnate to put your memories in here so I can have my boredom alleviated, even if for a couple of days, ha ha ha. The old man grinned. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, watching on. The woman watched him go, heartbroken. She went back into the cave with a stiff face and empty eyes. She just sat there for months. A bird's chirp was heard in this dead land as it landed on a wilted branch where another bird lay. The woman's heart shook and held the dead bird. In a flash of pink, the dead bird was revived. The 2 birds once again flew together. The woman closed her eyes in realization. A month passed and a prismatic glow covered the skies as a pink aura shone around the cave and its surroundings, filling the dead lands with warmth. Life sprouted anew, with birds singing and insects buzzing. The woman walked out of the cave and smiled as a lonely tear fell on her hand. This is the last time I shed tears for you. From now on, I will rule over the world's emotions. I hope that one day your emotion center can be recovered. She waved and the teardrop vanished in the sky. Zhuo Fan said, she's the emotion sovereign. Was that her seat of enlightenment, the cave of emotion? Yes, the man used his emotions as a base to create the emotion sovereign without realizing it, but she was born out of the emotions of all living things. When she became a sovereign, she had already gotten over their little love. Her last tear signified the supreme emotion the man left in her, but now she had no use for it. The old man nodded with a heavy look. The tear could have helped the man regain his emotion center, but Zhuo Fan shuddered, seeing as the tear arrived at a wide courtyard entering a room. There sat the man in white, but now he was enveloped in black energy, eerie and deadly. The tear was unaware of the danger, wanting to restore his emotions as it went for him. Alas, the black energy lashed out and shattered it into pink mist, vanishing in the wind. What was that? The heavenly sovereign happened to arrive before the room just as the pink mist flew into the heavens, feeling confused. Younger brother has been in there for months, yet still couldn't achieve his path while the woman earned the last spot. Humph, what a disgrace. Sword Heart, go in there and see why he's still in seclusion. Yes, Sword Heart stepped in and blew the door away, but then the black energy flooded through the gap. Sword Heart waved his sleeves, sending 2 sword waves at it, but they just dissipated like nothing on contact. How is this possible? Sword Heart gasped, with the heavenly sovereign also looking startled. Calm him down. I want to know what's going on. Yes, Sword Heart shouted again and used his path. A prismatic glow shined, pressing back the black energy for a while. In the end, the black energy dissolved the glow, inch by inch, eating it away. The 2 stared in confusion, but Zhuo Fan cried, that's like my apocalyptic thunderflame. Of course, because it's almost on the same level. The old man sighed, it's just that not a single being can wield these powers, not even the heavenly sovereign. The dreadful black energy was like a raging beast of gluttony, that not even a sovereign path could stop as it forced Sword Heart back. The heavenly sovereign was amazed. A huge eye appeared in the sky, shining golden rings in its pupil. It released a ripple and the room was encased in a sealed space, blocking the black energy from reaching out. Divine Eye of the Void, Void Domain. The Heavenly Sovereign walked closer with a panicked sword heart, observing through the barrier the roaming black energy. The man in white sat there and meditated still, with a face warped from pain. Above him, the black energy glowed in an eerie way. Sword Heart gasped, "What on earth is happening? The 10 sovereigns have been set, yet he can still achieve his path. What of it? When a sovereign is born, another must fall. Anyway, I came here to say that I'll help him kill one and empty a spot for him, but it doesn't look like I'm needed." The Heavenly Sovereign had a sinister smirk as he nodded in appreciation of his younger brother's condition. Sword Heart was filled with fear. Yeah, this power alone is enough to even push me back despite being below a sovereign. Just what path did he discover? What indeed? The Heavenly Sovereign was curious. His emotion center is gone. It is. How did he form his path then? That's very strange. He formed a sovereign path in his broken state, what he couldn't do when he was fine. The Heavenly Sovereign's heart was filled with questions. Bang! The space shook hard as the black energy grew wilder and wilder like a savage beast. The Heavenly Sovereign shook, his face twitching. "You're kidding me. Not even my void path can stop it. How? Why? He has so much power to fight my path, one that no other sovereign can? Maybe. What? He isn't forming a sovereign path." The Heavenly Sovereign's voice shook, looking excited. Sword Heart was puzzled. What else could it be then? Isn't he a half-sovereign? The Heavenly Sovereign grinned. "Sword Heart, I told you of my recent enlightenment, of the realm beyond the sovereign stage, the supreme stage. I can feel its existence, but can't reach it, while my younger brother. Impossible, reach supreme while bypassing the sovereign stage. Why not? Each of us has a different situation that makes everything possible." The Heavenly Sovereign's red eyes shook with glee. Younger brother's cultivation was an emotional heavenly Tao's hard to perfect. But now he broke his emotion center. His whole is filled with the heavenly Tao's, reaching above the sovereign stage, achieving the supreme stage. This is called a blessing in disguise. This is his situation, because we don't have the emotional heavenly Tao's and won't reach his insights by breaking our emotion center. Extreme yin brings about extreme yang. This is his path apart from ours, Sword Heart nodded. Extreme yin brings extreme yang so that the worlds may regain balance. So when the emotional heavenly Tao's has its emotions broken, it goes beyond the sovereign path. Then now we will have a supreme, someone beyond the 10 sovereigns. 10 sovereigns, the Heavenly Sovereign sneered. The sovereign stage is nothing before the supreme stage. Let me tell you from my insight that the sovereign stage means grasping the world's paths and using the world laws, while a supreme can grasp the world, destroy, or create it. Sovereigns are bugs to them, killed with but a thought. Sword Heart gasped, his heart sinking. It was said supreme gods were nothing but a vague concept in humanity, but now they might be true. Sword Heart turned to the man in white, hesitating. Bam! Divine Eye of the Void's barrier shook once more against the black energy and broke apart. The black energy surged, shooting for the two to swallow them. They fell back at once, with the Heavenly Sovereign smiling in excitement. His younger brother finally controlled the heavenly Tao's. Though he was above him, he was still overjoyed. For he believed that one day he too would reach the supreme stage. The brothers would rule as supremes. This was heavenly Tao's way, apart from mortalhood. Whoosh, as the black energy rose, the black glow on the man in white faded and his body shook, breaking in sweat. The Heavenly Sovereigns frowned. Younger brother, what happened? What is stopping you from advancing? Why did your supreme path fade? This path can't appear. The man in white panted in fear. Sword Heart asked, why? Like the Heavenly Sovereign said, with it you'll have a supreme path going beyond the 10 sovereigns. Why not form it? Because it decays the heavenly Tao's and destroys the world. What? Sword Heart's heart tensed while the Heavenly Sovereign was thrilled. So your emotion center is broken, so why care what happens to the world? This filthy world has no use, so better destroy it to create a new one. Once I become supreme, I'll create an immemorial world free of any filth. Do sovereigns die when the world is destroyed? The man in white sighed. The apocalyptic path unleashes hell as heavenly Tao's punishment. The heavenly Tao sovereigns will be fine, while the human path will be no more. Great then, I thought we won't be able to create a new world. The Heavenly Sovereign nodded and patted his shoulder. Keep going. It's time we cleanse this world. Humanity barely rose up and you want to destroy it before the end of days. Since it'll happen anyway, with the human path having good and evil against the heavenly Tao's laws. It doesn't fit with the world. Even the simple spiritual beasts are being infected, turning to tricks and cunning. One day, even the purest spiritual beasts will be vile like humans. By the time evil overcomes good, hell is already unleashed. The human path shouldn't have been here in the first place. Just remove it. You do it, for I won't. The man in black flicked his sleeve and stood with a dark look. Sword Heart frowned as he went. Your brother has changed. He wasn't like this with you. An elder brother is like a father. He cultivated the emotional heavenly Taoes, mingling with the human path and going by their rules, so of course he showed me respect. But with the emotion center broken, removed from the human path, it's natural to change, ha ha ha. The heavenly sovereign said, he said we can just destroy ourselves and won't stop us. Well, let's get to it, Sword Heart shook. You want to destroy it, but only a supreme can do it. You have felt it around but feel its eons ahead. I didn't have a way before, but now we have a clear example. You mean, precisely, the heavenly sovereign nodded. It's not that supremes want to see the world end, but that its end gives birth to them. The heavenly will allows anything to happen in the world. Since even the world can't stand humanity's disruption, destroying the world is all within its will. We'll follow the path of destruction and reach the supreme path, Sword Heart nodded. How do we destroy it and remove humanity? Did you see the power he scattered? Yes, very shocking. That's a budding supreme's power, heavenly sovereign paste. No one has that kind of power in this world and no one knows how to achieve it. Even younger brother is a mere dabbler. They are the only ones who can match a sovereign stage's power. Who? The 5 great sacred beasts, them. They were born from an ancient world and carry with them ancient world powers equal to sovereigns while also engendering an opposite. With them engendering the other, they can be combined. Just think what could such a fusion of 5 sovereign powers create? Supreme stage power? Yes, Sword Heart, go gather those beasts' powers, but don't let them find out. I want to see if I can truly create such a destructive power. The heavenly sovereign's eyes twinkled, his smile icy. The calm lake surface rippled, whisking away the heavenly sovereign's evil grin. Zhuo Fan nodded. That's why the heavenly sovereign is so obsessed with destroying the world. His younger brother gave him that idea. The supreme path is a path of destruction. You can say that, but maybe it's only because of the heavenly sovereign's belief. He is of firm belief that the heavenly Taoes are ultimate. He looks down on the human path just like a lofty emperor does with his subjects. The old man nodded. Even so, he never entertained the thought of destroying the world until now. No matter how much you loathe someone, would you just kill him over nothing? The heavenly sovereign isn't a lunatic, but ever since he saw his younger brother, it was like he was given instruction to flourish the heavenly Taoes by destroying humanity. This idea, neither good nor evil, got implanted so deep in his mind that it led to the following disaster. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look, neither good nor evil. Senior, you believe destroying the world is a good thing. I'm unsure. All I know is that its end would come sooner or later, just that it wouldn't be the heavenly sovereign but someone or something else. Why else would there be a path of destruction in this world? Zhuo Fan, you find destruction evil, due to your humanity or from being alive, but as a great path cultivator, putting aside your human origins, do you believe this world would be tainted by humans? The old man stared at Zhuo Fan with a deep gaze. Zhuo Fan shuddered, lowering his head in thought. As a human demonic cultivator, and I know how black humanity can become as I delved deeper in the matters of the heart, destruction might be the just way for the world. Maybe the heavenly sovereign is heaven's envoy and the sovereigns stopping him are defying heaven's will. The old man had a grim look, struggling with his own matters. Senior, Zhuo Fan turned to him, I want to keep looking how the heavenly sovereign's younger brother chooses. The old man nodded, as you should, for this is what you came for. The old man waved and the lake reflected a new image. The old man said, ever since the younger brother gave up on forming the apocalyptic path, his heart was in a bind. He ventured out to train and look for answers. This trek took him 50 years, a time in which his feet carried him throughout sacred domain. Despite not being a sovereign, as he touched upon the power of the supreme stage, he wasn't any weaker than one. He was in fact superior to child sovereign, which is why he earned the name, the uncrowned sovereign, with the people calling the brothers the heavenly Tao's dignitaries. Elder brother, where are you? The young brother returned home to find the heavenly sovereign missing. He sensed something at the back of the mountain and went there to break its barrier with a mere tap. He witnessed flames everywhere unleashing incredible power. The heavenly sovereign glanced over. It's far from the supreme path, but he retained the trait of destroying everything. Sword Heart's peak sword barrier was blown away like nothing. It would have been so much better if you formed your path. What are you doing here? The man in white stared coldly at the familiar power. Thunder Phoenix's berserk purple lightning, Kunpeng's chaos flame. Why are the 5 great sacred beasts' powers here? The heavenly sovereign smiled, only focusing on the wild energy. Sword Heart had no time to pay attention, weaving through gestures as he stared at the 5-colored swirling energy in the center to refine it. A black flame lashed out from them, with a dreadful aura that made the heavenly sovereign and his brother pale. Apocalyptic thunderflame, Zhuo Fan's eyes shook and the elder shouted, the power of destruction. The heavenly sovereign looked on with excitement. I knew the 5 powers could unleash the same destructive force. By refining them, I can understand the path of destruction. Then I can purge the filth from this world and remake it anew, ha ha ha. bam, a sudden explosion echoed out and the black flames scattered. The 5 powers broke apart and entered the nearby mountain. Sword Heart grimaced and coughed blood. When dust settled, before them were 5 6th-grade sacred weapons of dazzling colors. They're the 5 divine swords that quelled the mortal domain. Zhuo Fan sighed. They were actually failures made by the Heavenly Sovereign trying to combine the 5 powers. The Heavenly Sovereign looked hard. Sword Heart apologized. Heavenly Sovereign, I've given my all, but the powers are hard to fuse. No, they did fuse, but they are too opposite to stabilize. There has to be a way to enhance their engendering traits. The Heavenly Sovereign sighed and looked in the distance. The man in white said, "You want the destructive power?" "Yes, didn't you say to find it ourselves?" The Heavenly Sovereign said, "As the Heavenly Tao's emissary, I pass its judgment. You don't want to destroy the world and assume your duty as a Heavenly Tao's cultivator, but I do. Sword Heart, you've grown close to the 5 great sacred beasts over the years to get their powers. Now who among them can be used? Heaven's sealing Xiao is simple. He helped me collect the powers of the other 4. No, simple people won't do this. I don't want just one of their powers, but all of them." "You want to take their powers?" Sword Heart gasped. The Heaven's Sovereign nodded. "These powers come from the sacred beasts. You used your sword to fuse them, but it's not right, for it's just an object, so I will take their powers into myself to refine it." "You mustn't. It will backfire and eat you alive. It matters not. Everything is for the Heavenly Taos. Besides, I'm not so reckless as to take them all at once." The Heavenly Sovereign grinned and asked, "Sword Heart, any other candidates besides Xiao?" Sword Heart nodded. "Kilin is violent and dragon ancestor's heart burns hot." Only vaulting Kunpeng had been affected by humanity and grew shrewd. Be it 9 serenities, comprehending the demonic path, or my void path, we all understand that the simpler the people, the more in tune to heavenly Taos they are and harder to create a disaster. The old fowl thinks of himself as mighty clever, making him the perfect target. He'll have the 5 great sacred beasts clash among each other. With an evil grin, the Heavenly Sovereign turned to his younger brother. "You won't make it harder for us, will you?" The man in white left. "I told you. What you do is not my problem." His emotion center is broken indeed, not caring about grudges. The past him would have gone against us, not because of his emotional heavenly Taos, but his human side. He wouldn't let the world be destroyed. Alas, without his emotion center, he's no longer human, ignoring all that happens in the end, ha ha ha. The Heavenly Sovereign grinned. "It's for the best, not butting in. I can trust him as well. Sword Heart, go ask for Kunpeng to come see me." Sword Heart left. The Heavenly Sovereign agreed to help Kunpeng become a divine beast, and the latter would help with picking off the sacred beasts one by one. Kunpeng followed his instructions like he was possessed. The first to fall was the clueless sundering thunder phoenix. He fooled her to come to a valley where the 2 sovereigns and sacred beast killed her. The deadly purple lightning became the Heavenly Sovereign's eye power. Kunpeng planned on continuing, but his betrayal leaked and he had to face off against the 3 remaining sacred beasts. The Heavenly Sovereign found Kunpeng useless and planned on silencing him, but first came to take his power. However, he didn't make it as the Emotion Sovereign, and the other sovereigns came to thwart him. Kunpeng had no choice but to expose the Heavenly Sovereign's plan to them all, that of destroying the world. Humanity and Heavenly Tao's conflict degenerated into the ancient Great War. The Heavenly Sovereign wanted it done in secret, but with his plan in the open, he went all out to fight against the 8 sovereigns. As for the 4 sacred beasts, due to the world being at stake, they joined with the 8 sovereigns to stop the Heavenly Sovereign. Kunpeng, as the traitor, was not trusted, but because of the common enemy, the Nether Sovereign and Emotion Sovereign vouched for him, allowing him to join. Bam! The Heavenly Sovereign kicked the door open and stormed inside where his little brother meditated. The latter noticed who it was and spoke. "Why have you barged into my cultivation chambers? Didn't your emotion center recover?" The Heavenly Sovereign squinted. The man in white said, "You're the Heavenly Sovereign, elder brother. You know very well it's a grueling task to restore an emotion center." "True." The Heavenly Sovereign didn't drop it. "Did you leak my plan?" The man in white gave a taunting look. "It's not my problem what you do. Now if that's all, leave. I want to meditate." The younger brother closed his eyes. "Heavenly Sovereign, your brother cares nothing about anything. It couldn't be him meddling." Sword Heart spoke as he watched the man in white. The Heavenly Sovereign nodded after a pause, but his doubts never left. Hardly anyone knew about this. If he didn't leak it, then who did? Is it? The Heavenly Sovereign squinted at Sword Heart. "Sword Heart, you're my most trusted aide. You've worked hard these decades to get the 5 powers. I also heard you're close to Xiao." "Heavenly Sovereign, what are you implying? You can't be doubting me." "Ha ha ha, of course not. I could never suspect you." The leak must have come from Kunpeng, the most conniving of the beasts. As king of spiritual beasts, he must have a few loose tongues working under him. The heavenly sovereign patted his shoulder with a grin, but his eyes were cold. It's nothing much either way, just a few beasts and some human sovereigns. Only there's one beast I'm wary of, and I want you to bring me his head, just in case. Sword Heart's heart shook. Who? Heaven sealing Xiao. What? Why him? He did seal my divine eye of the void once. If that happens while I'm at odds with the other experts, it will lead to serious consequences. Sword Heart rushed to explain. Heavenly Sovereign, you're too modest. That was 1,000 years ago when you were a half-sovereign. Now that you're aware of the sovereign stage, he's nothing. Sword Heart, just in case. The Heavenly Sovereign glanced at him, his tone firm. The Heavenly Tao's sanctity is at stake. It can never fall in the hands of those human fools. You've never questioned my orders, so why now? Is that hesitation or unwillingness? Sword Heart's brow shook and he nodded. In the end, I'll go. The Heavenly Sovereign grinned and the man in white sighed. Sword Heart has been by your side for so long, why must you be hard on him? I'm not, just making him break all ties with the beasts. On the eve of war, I won't stand for any unknowns on my side. It's hard to hide from a sneak attack, especially those sly human sovereigns. Heaven knows what they might pull. Yeah, elder brother is strong, but you can't take on everyone. With enough numbers and a good plan, even you might lose. Ha ha ha. So you'll help me? No, I don't care about anything happening beyond these doors, including what happens to you. The man in white closed his eyes. In the off chance that the heavenly Taos do decay, the void path will be lost. Not that it matters, since heavenly Tao cultivators like us don't care about our weakling relatives. The heavenly sovereign squinted as he left. Yeah, a weakling younger brother with no emotion center is not reliable at all. But I do not need to rely on anyone, for I am the heavenly sovereign. The heavenly sovereign huffed and vanished, leaving the man in white with an eerie grin. A month later, Sword Heart was back, bloodied and missing his left arm. The spiritual beast spread news that heaven-sealing Xiao's left eye was wounded by Sword Heart. This only worked to further the animosity between the heavenly sovereign and the spiritual beasts. Heavenly sovereign, I couldn't kill him, only ruin an eye. His sealing can't recover and won't be a threat to you. Sword Heart panted hard, looking pale. The heavenly sovereign beamed. Ha ha ha, well done. Though it didn't matter if you couldn't either, for he can't do anything to me. Get better, for in 3 months we go to war. The heavenly sovereign patted his shoulder and felt like he was on top of the world. Zhuo Fan sighed. Sword Heart is so loyal, knowing it was only the heavenly sovereign's test, yet still fought until he lost an arm. I finally know why Xiao lost his eye, all because of the heavenly sovereign's suspicion of Sword Heart. Sword Heart has the sword path. The sword is the king of weapons in the hands of rulers who value loyalty above all. The old man explained, of humanity's 3 bonds, loyalty, filial piety, and siblinghood, Sword Heart's sword path holds them at the highest regard. Zhuo Fan nodded. So he's human? Half. Why half? Because the sword path is part of humanity, while a sword is not. It was the only reason the heavenly sovereign accepted him and trusted him. The old man pointed at the lake. Keep watching. Zhuo Fan turned to the lake and saw the heavenly sovereign and Sword Heart go to war 3 months later. They didn't get far, hearing explosions behind, with his clan's grounds leveled as his kin perished. He turned back to find no one remaining, not even his younger brother. Even the imparting stone in his room was gone. The heavenly sovereign gnashed his teeth. Damn bastard, he knew I had a secret imparting stone and fled with it when I wasn't around. Heavenly sovereign, what happened? Sword Sovereign asked. The heavenly sovereign's lips shook, his eyes red. The records for divine eye of the void and purple lightning gold eye I left behind in case of my fall, so that someone would pick up the work of heavenly Taos, are gone. To think, heavenly sovereign, why did you think you'd lose? Aren't you confident in this war? It's not like you. It's because. The heavenly sovereign was about to answer when he exclaimed, I was played. That damn brat should have no emotions, no loyalty, and couldn't care less of the world, so why did he scheme against me? Heavenly sovereign, you mean your younger brother? Yes, he started spouting crap that day and I got fooled into leaving an exit. He did it on purpose. The heavenly sovereign squinted and gnashed his teeth. Did his emotional heavenly Taos recover, and does he want me to fail in destroying the world? What do we do now? We can't let them get their hands on the imparting stone. They will learn my ultimate skill and make winning impossible. The heavenly sovereign clenched his fists, his eyes glowing golden. A huge eye appeared in the sky, scouring the earth. 3 fleeing sacred beasts entered its vision. Found you? The heavenly sovereign pulled Sword Heart and crossed thousands of miles in an instant, reaching Killen and blocking him. Damn beast, where do you think you're running? Void paths blink. Killen gasped and fled in another direction, just as Sword Heart waved and sent a scarlet sword wave. Feeling terror, Killen shouted, what sword is this? Soaring sword? Sword Heart's eyes glinted. It's the sword made with your power against it. You can't take it. Whoosh, ah, blood flowed as Killen's hard hide couldn't block the sharp sword wave, cutting off his leg and making him stagger to the ground. The heavenly sovereign smirked, using the divine eye of the void and purple lightning gold eye. A purple cover fell and boomed as it covered the land for thousands of miles and made it vanish. Humph, hand over the imparting stone or die here. The heavenly sovereign pulled Sword Heart and vanished to block the dragon ancestor this time. Dragon ancestor unleashed his decimating golden flame, but the decimating sword sucked the flames and dragon ancestor fell wounded. With another purple flash, another part of the land was carved. When the heavenly sovereign went after Kunpeng, "Where's that fool? Where's he hiding? Heavenly sovereign, that oversized bird is too fast and we lost him. No one can escape my heavenly Dao's eye." The heavenly sovereign's right eye shone in 12 golden halos. Vaulting Kunpeng, you can run but you can't hide. You can't escape my heavenly eye. Divine eye of the void, 12th stage, true world. A huge golden eye shone in the sky and glinted as it sent powerful fluctuations in every direction for miles, thousands of miles, billions in fact. With one final push, a large chunk of the sacred domain up and vanished. With the fall of the barrier, the mortal domain was born. Vaulting Kunpeng, hiding in Albeast mountain range, felt the pressure above inside. This is the heavenly sovereign's power. His younger brother knew him best. There was no chance of us beating him, even together. Sovereign, he's now trapped behind the barrier. He won't escape. Ignore him. So long as he's trapped, he can't be a threat to me. The heavenly sovereign looked heavily at Sword Heart. We'll now go to war with the old fools of the human path. Let's deal with them and then find that heartless younger brother of mine, Humph. The heavenly sovereign vanished and Sword Heart went after him. An hour later, on a flat expanse with no man in sight for miles and miles, 10 figures waited. The heavenly sovereign arrived, ignoring all but the man in white. Younger brother, I thought your emotion center was broken and you don't care about anything. How come you still side with humanity? Emotions might be gone, but the heart remains, the senses remain. The man in white took a deep breath. I am now blocked from feeling the true love of the world, but having once walked the path of emotional heavenly Daos, I could never forsake the world. Is this why you never formed the destructive path? It can be so. The man in white nodded. The heavenly sovereign smirked. What a blunder. I always took you for being dead inside, not minding anything or anyone, but not once did you give up the world. What's even more surprising is to find you so shrewd, fooling me without the slightest tell. When I heard of your plan, I was about to advise against it, but then this idea hit me. I know you too well to try to change your mind when you're dead set on something. So before I reveal my stance, I thought of playing a little useful trick. You leaked my plan to those fools and hinted that I'd leave a record of my void path behind, colluding with the beasts to steal it. It was to find a weakness, wasn't it? The heavenly sovereign's lip shook in anger. Too bad, but the 3 beasts are trapped. You won't get the chance to find anything about my power. Once I'm through with you, I'll take my time finding the right way to the destruction path. The sovereign's heart sank. The heavenly sovereign's power was beyond anything they imagined, sealing the 3 sacred beasts like nothing. Only a one-eyed man stepped forward, shouting, "Heavenly sovereign, you're too full of yourself. Your divine eye of the void lost to me once already. Well, if it isn't heaven's sealing Xiao. You didn't go to steal with the others, helping these guys instead. Do you plan on sealing my eyes again?" The heavenly sovereign mocked. Time changes everything, especially if it is as long as 1,000 years. As you are now without your eyes, you still plan on sealing mine. Ha, Xiao raged, giving a glare to Sword Heart. Tai Jiangxin, our friendship for decades was for nothing. I helped you train your sword by gathering what you needed. Why did you turn your sword on me? Sword Heart lowered his head. Bam! A huge sound echoed and heaven's sealing Xiao shuddered. His body shook hard as purple lighting flared in his direction and made him spew blood. The heavenly sovereign's right eye shone in 2 golden rings while his left eye pulsed purple. He smirked. The berserk purple lightning sure is amazing, complementing my divine eye of the void. Ha ha ha, berserk void annihilation. The purple lightning wreaked havoc on Xiao's body as he struggled to fight it. Lightning field true world. The heavenly sovereign's right eye shined with 12 halos. A boom shook the skies and purple flickered, resulting in Xiao vanishing. The others gasped in shock, with an old man in black crying, "Heavenly sovereign, what did you do to Xiao?" Zhuo Fan's eyes shook as he turned to the old man. He was one and the same with the one in the image. The heavenly sovereign shocked Zhuo Fan with his next action. 9 serenities, I only sent him where he belongs. I'll deal with those beasts once I'm through with you bastards. The heavenly sovereign chuckled in disdain. Did losing your pet get you all shy? So human sovereigns need dogs to be threatening. They all were grave and furious, while their hearts sank in despair. In a blink, they were unable to even react as the heavenly sovereign got rid of heaven's sealing Xiao. The heavenly Daos is stronger than the human path. With morale at an all-time low, the man in white stepped forward. We're standing here today not because of the strength of the heavenly sovereign, but the path within our hearts that we will never betray. 9 serenities and the others grew determined. We're human path cultivators, and we're not about to stand and watch it die. It matters not the strength of the enemy. It was something they had to do. Is this why you're going against me? The heavenly sovereign stared at his younger brother. Even without your emotion center, you still walk the path of emotional heavenly Taos and refuse to form the supreme destructive path. The man in white nodded. The world chose me to carry the destructive path, but I believe in choosing my own path, the one in my heart, not destruction. Just how the emotion sovereign cut out romantic love and opened herself to the world's peak emotion. I broke my emotion center and the world felt dead to me, without love or any emotion. It was also why my emotion is noble, and I decided to go against heaven and have humanity stay on top. Since you've decided, there's nothing more to talk about. Our paths are different. There's nothing to discuss about conflicting paths, even as brothers. The heavenly sovereign sighed inside and charged, as heavens will wish the world's end, I shall carry its duty in destroying the human path sovereigns. This world doesn't want you. Whoosh, the other side flew to meet him, determined to go through with this. No matter what you think as the purported heavens will, the human path will survive. Heavenly sovereign, you'll have to go through us to remake the world. Boom explosions echoed all around, shaking the sky and crumbling the earth. The 10 sovereigns met with such force that the space warped and broke apart to reveal black holes. It lasted 3 months and killed every creature in the radius of millions of miles. Once the world stopped shaking, there were no stars, moon, or sun, only endless darkness. The space law couldn't keep up with their relentless onslaught. Swordheart and the human sovereigns were wounded and tired, panting hard and bleeding. Only the heavenly sovereign's eyes were just as hard, despite the slight soreness. It seems heaven wins in the end. The human path falls, ha ha ha. The heavenly sovereign's eyes shined in 11 golden halos, cleanse. A huge golden eye appeared in the black sky, unleashing a deadly aura. The others looked bleak, with child sovereigns saying, we couldn't beat him, we lost. A ripple spread through them and they just crumbled, gone from this world. All that remained were prismatic motes, their souls sighing at the end of the world. A sudden wind picked up that pulled the souls to the side, shielding them behind the man in white so that cleanse wouldn't hurt them. Even Swordheart's path flew to his side. What's happening? The heavenly sovereign looked oddly at Swordheart, who was just as baffled. I don't know, my path is out of my control. Elder brother, the man in white smiled. We both touched upon the sovereign stage, but I have no sovereign path weaker than you. But luckily, I comprehended 2 things when I felt the destructive path. Firstly, before the world turns to hell, there's destruction and cleansing. Secondly, that the holder of this path can offer themselves so that the world gets another chance. I have always believed the world that nurtured all creation wouldn't be so heartless. The man in white released black energy that wrapped around him and ate him alive. While the 9 sovereign paths fused, becoming a huge prismatic palm and shooting at the huge eye in the sky. Bam! The prismatic palm crushed the heavenly eye. The heavenly sovereign jerked and coughed blood. As he looked up again, he watched the figure eaten away by the black energy, sacrificing yourself for a moment of sovereign stage power. Humph. Well played, younger brother, but it's still your loss. We too are the only ones who have touched upon the supreme stage. You use that power to give me a heavy wound at the price of your life, but how will you stop me when I heal? You've only delayed the inevitable. I'll be the last one standing in the end. Think again. A soft voice reached him, and in a prismatic glow, a pink arrow shot the heavenly sovereign. The heavenly sovereign sneered, Emotion sovereign, I am wounded, but not enough for your cheap trick to work. Divine eye of the void, void barrier. Whoosh, 12 barriers formed before the heavenly sovereign, blocking the arrow. The heavenly sovereign gave a triumphant smirk. Clap, the heavenly sovereign's left eye flashed with lightning and the barriers were destroyed. The pink arrow struck true, striking him and making his eyes go pink. Ha ha ha, heavenly sovereign, weren't you on the heartless path, the empty void? My bewitching is nothing on others but deadly on you. Your very path is at risk of crumbling and you want to ruin the world. Humph, I am possible. His neck went red and the heavenly sovereign spat. Why did purple lightning gold eye flared up? You got the drop on me knowing this would happen. How? An image appeared of Emotion sovereign's soul. Did you think yourself the winner? Long before you approached Kun Peng, she had approached him. Your destruction plan had won you no allies, while your divine eye of the void grew their fears. So she sacrificed herself in a plan with Kun Peng, leaving a trace of her soul behind in the purple lightning to strike at the right moment and help me plant the bewitching. Now you understand, heavenly sovereign, the best in the world. Younger brother, to think that it's you who won in the end. The heavenly sovereign clenched his fists as he made a bitter face at the fading image of his younger brother. Well done. I've always been above you all our lives, but you won this time. But now those sovereigns only have their path protecting them, weak. While I'm bewitched, even with a thread of hope, I will be back. Time is on my side. I will take back this win. He went back to Swordheart's side. The weakened sovereigns couldn't stop him. The fading younger brother showed a faint smile. Elder brother, I'll stop you even in the next life. Fine, the heavenly sovereign shouted back with a nod. We shall see. I'll be waiting. The heavenly sovereign left with Swordheart. As the black energy burned the younger brother fully, his figure vanished from the lake, making Zhuo Fan sigh. The war of sovereigns and the brothers' feud is only because of diverging paths, not out of a grudge. That's why the heavenly sovereign said true big players fight in the open. Because tricks and schemes don't work on them. Despite the heavenly sovereign losing to his younger brother's ploy. Well, Zhuo Fan flinched, turning to the old man with a bow. Senior, forgive my ignorance of not knowing that you were the 9 Serenities demonic sovereign. 9 Serenities waved him off. Let formalities not constrict us. How do you feel after watching the ancient drama? Feel, Zhuo Fan pondered. I now know why you could write down the 9 Serenities' secret records. Oh, the hero of the story wasn't me, yet you could see my experience. Of course, and not through just the lake, but from talking with Senior. I realized that Senior loves gossip, but it's because of this that you could learn so many secrets and arts of the sacred domain to compile the incredible 9 Serenities' secret records. I am in awe. I can never look at those nagging biddies the same way, he. Ahem. 9 Serenities felt awkward. You know that I walk the demonic path, that demons are born within our hearts. To remove demons, you need to inquire into people's hearts all the time. It's part of the job description. Let me ask you this, what do you feel about the heavenly sovereign's younger brother? Zhuo Fan fell silent for a while. I walk the demonic path, a selfish path. Even sacrifice, it will only come for someone, not for the world. I lack that kind of great compassion and love. The heavenly sovereign's younger brother did it for all creation, even forsaking the supreme path. I could never escape its allure, that of becoming a god and having the world at your fingertips. Despite having no emotion center, yet still willing to follow the path inside his heart to dedicate himself to the world, is worthy of respect. He's far better than I could ever be. It's reasonable for you to say that. 9 Serenities looked up, but would you believe me if I say he is you? Zhuo Fan shuddered. He is. Me, a more apt description is that he is a past you. An aged and familiar voice sounded this time, making Zhuo Fan look over. You're that old man from the Nether Sea. How? Let me introduce you. He is the master here, the rebirth sovereign in charge of the past and present lives. 9 Serenities smiled. The old man nodded. You met my regrets in the Nether Sea, but the heavenly sovereign has now destroyed it. I guided you to the heavenly rebirth lake to see you and check if you inherited the supreme path from your past. The supreme path? Zhuo Fan was confused. What is going on here? The heavenly sovereign's younger brother was the past me. Didn't he sacrifice himself? Without a sovereign path, a broken soul would fade away. Did he reincarnate here? No way, he was burned down to nothing. The two laughed, with 9 Serenities speaking. Even destroyed, how was it that you got reborn, Zhuo Fan? Wasn't it through your 9 Serenities' secret records, through desire? Could anyone be reborn by relying on another's soul through desire? Rather, your soul wasn't obliterated in the detonation, leaving but a fraction behind. Not even you could damage it. Why then was this sliver protected? Zhuo Fan exclaimed. Sovereign path. Yes, my path has been shielding your soul from total destruction. 9 Serenities nodded. When the heavenly sovereign's younger brother died, I used my path to protect his sliver of soul and reincarnate. As for me, I reincarnated too, but lived a mortal life. Zhuo Fan gasped. Then the you hear, a shadow's memories. The rebirth sovereign explained, a sliver of obsession. You know that to reincarnate at the heavenly rebirth lake, one must leave behind memories, feelings, everything. 9 Serenities left behind his thought of reincarnation in order to see with his own eyes your return, according to the plan, to inherit that heavenly dows of before. Only then can he find peace. Zhuo Fan was conflicted. Shadow? It can't even be called a soul, only a shadow of a thought. After seeing you, it will fade. 9 Serenities smiled and patted his shoudler. You now have a choice. Inherit the emotional heavenly dows and grasp the precious power, fulfilling the promise in blocking the heavenly sovereign from destroying the world. Or do nothing and wait for death. The heavenly sovereign will be coming here soon to steal the rebirth path. Zhuo Fan cried. You call that a choice? No one wants to die. Of course it is, a choice of the heart. 9 Serenities was solemn. You said it yourself. You're a selfish demonic cultivator, but you were once on the emotional heavenly dows path. Your hearts differ and thus makes inheriting that power impossible. Even though you're one and the same. Zhuo Fan hung his head. Everything can be fake in the world, but only my heart is ever true. I could never just give up all these years spent on the demonic path at the drop of a hat. And for a path of love, why did I even choose demonic path in the first place? Because you had my sovereign demonic path. So no matter what life you'd have, all would choose the demonic path even if you were the son of a righteous leader. Why do I get the feeling you played me? Zhuo Fan's mouth twitched. In that case, why not just give me a righteous sovereign path? They didn't want to. Was only Master Nine's Serenities willing to sacrifice himself for me? Is that a way to treat the guy who sacrificed himself for the world? The two chuckled. Nine Serenities was the one to continue the explanation. You're wrong to blame them. All of us were moved by your self-sacrifice to save every being and would be willing to give up everything to save you. But for you to train in the Nine Serenities secret records, only I could have guided you. Nine Serenities secret records. As you've seen yourself, the moment you were the closest to the supreme stage power was when you fused 9 paths. You used that power to wrest the wounded sword heart's path and take it for yourself. Nine Serenities' eyes gleamed. I am confident your emotional heavenly Tao's is the pathway to reach the supreme stage through uniting the 9 human sovereign paths. Nothing is hopeless in this world, no matter how bad it looks. Even with the destruction path appearing, there will be another path to stop it. This path is your emotional heavenly Tao's. When you couldn't form your sovereign path, maybe it just needed the right timing for the 10 Tao's to unite. The void path and the 9 human paths will help you form the supreme path and become lord over heaven and earth. In other words, the younger brother chose to get the 10 paths instead of forming the sovereign path. Heaven's will didn't wish for destruction, only leading to this path due to his broken emotion center. That's how it is, but heaven's will is hard to read, and we are only able to judge it with our own views. Who can say the real truth of the Tao? Even the heavenly sovereign can't declare he represents the world, only a supreme, or maybe not even it. Nine Serenities shook himself from that line of thought. Anyway, they're out of our grasp, and all we can do is follow our path in helping every being pass this crisis. You have what it takes to do it, and I happen to make the art to help you integrate all paths. When you become supreme, it will be like how the world can only have 10 sovereigns, but you will be the sole person, blocking the destruction of the supreme stage from appearing. Even if it does appear, you have what it takes to fight it. Zhuo Fan nodded. To stop the heavenly sovereign from getting to the destruction path, you want to take over the world first, but won't the heavenly sovereign try to stop me? The sovereign path shields your fate. Only my path guided you to seek the demonic path, but letting demons take you is easy, while overcoming them is hard. The hardest part of the demonic path is drifting from desire to desire before you can break free of your demons and reach the end of the path, seeing the hearts and minds of the world without desire. It's easier said than done. There are countless righteous cultivators who couldn't escape their demons and sank further into their grasp. Zhuo Fan nodded. Master Nine Serenities, I've been a no-good demon once, shambling around without aim and witnessing all kinds of demons. Some are cloaked in righteousness, making escape all the harder. I had the fortune to be sharp enough and perceptive enough to be here today instead of living my meager existence as a petty criminal. Alas, guess I did have a knack for the demonic path, ha ha ha. Knack my ass. Nine Serenities' face twitched. Do you have any idea how long I've waited here for you? Right, about 5,000 years. Zhuo Fan counted. I spent a few centuries cultivating in sacred domain, then got reborn 5,000 years later and cultivated about 100 years more. Quite quickly, I might say. Nine Serenities rolled his eyes and Rebirth Sovereign laughed. That's your current life. What's that supposed to mean? How many lives did I have? Since the fall of the ancient era, 32 lives in total. In most of them, you were unable to get your hands on the Nine Serenities secret records, wasting even more time. What, 32? That many? Zhuo Fan gasped in disbelief. Nine Serenities said, the demon transformation art blends all the paths, which is why each life must be a clean slate. In other words, all previous paths had to be purged, so each reincarnation removes your memories. There were only around 5 times you got the Nine Serenities secret records. It's lucky you made it all the way here this time around. The other times, humph, once you were too scared to train in it, the other time ending like your disciple, not willing to let go of your cultivation and dying from the backlash. The same petty demons you're denouncing were you in a few lifetimes. Now ain't that talent? Ha, how can this be? Zhuo Fan blinked, but I got the Nine Serenities secret records from your tomb. If someone found it already, who put it back? The two replied at the same time, the Heavenly Sovereign. What? Wipe that dumb look already. For 32 lives, the Heavenly Sovereign had been on us like a hawk as well as sacred domain. You think he wouldn't be cautious of the Nine Serenities secret records appearing? He knew everything. Of course, why didn't he stop it? Why? Nine Serenities shrugged. After he found the Nine Serenities secret records, you had already reincarnated a few times and his sharp mind must have connected the dots. But our plan helped him as well. He couldn't remove the bewitching placed on him by himself, nor could he force the emotion sovereign to do it. So he was looking forward to having your emotional sovereign path do it instead. Bewitched, his void path was damaged, so reaching the supreme stage was impossible. Why wouldn't he be happy to have all 10 paths gathered? Doesn't that also further his plan? Besides, the void path can hold anything, even sovereign paths, but to fuse them is beyond him. Seeing my demon transformation art, he had to have been laughing so hard the first time he found our plan. There's no way he'd stop us. You never noticed how you've been led all this time? Zhuo Fan frowned. Couldn't he have just taken the demon transformation art if he wanted it so much? Why wait for me to get it? What was demon transformation art's first warning? To remove your previous cultivation. In the case of the heavenly sovereign, he'd have to let go of his sovereign stage cultivation and even his sovereign path. 9 Serenities raised his eyebrows. The strongest sovereign wasn't ready to risk his chance at the supreme stage or his void path over some sketchy art. The ungodly risk aside, it might have been a trap. What would you do in his shoes? Zhuo Fan nodded with a sigh. Yeah, great experts would never want to start from scratch again. Despite the journey being longer in this case, the risk wasn't worth it. Even a sovereign would falter. He didn't have the nerve to do it, nor is he hopeful of others with their poor talents. Only you, his younger brother, are the best candidate. Just that 32 reincarnations proved your lack of talent in the demonic path. He could no longer take the weight and took action this time, guiding you. It did the trick and you got the gist on the spot, thanks to an awesome master, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan's face twitched. Why don't I feel the slightest difference between you and the heavenly sovereign? It's like you're in it together to mess with me. Right you are. When masters fight, they do it in the open. You're the pawn of all of us. Despite the different purposes, interests aligned for a while. Then you also were ready to guide me. Of course, we laid the groundwork throughout the world to guide you the minute you trained in the demon transformation art. 9 Serenities nodded. The sacred domain was under the Nether Sovereign and the others' care, leaving their remnant images in different realms. Sovereign Yun chose to bring his path to the mortal domain through a whirlwind tunnel and tell Kunpeng our plan. All that remained was for you to arrive. A cultivator is an adventurer first and foremost, and most of them in the mortal domain would visit the All-Beast mountain range at some point, including you. And if I haven't, since the first plan to guide you would be a bust, Plan B would be in effect. Plan B, yeah, being willing to give up your sovereign path. 9 Serenities smiled. Demonic path is as selfish as it gets. If you could have relinquished it, that meant you rose above all the desires and demons, finishing the demonic path through the demon transformation art. At that point, your fate will be readable in the heavens, and Sovereign Yun would send someone to lure you to receive our inheritances to reach the same conclusion. So that's why, Zhuo Fan sighed. These players had my life's track in the palm of their hands, taking another stage the minute I passed the previous one. If no plan worked, the lives will be spent in mediocrity until the moment they could use me again. You used me like a toy. No, toys are at someone's mercy. While we merely guided you and didn't dictate your every choice. 9 Serenities spoke hard. Just like now, we have no control on what your heart wants. Your choice is yours. You hold everything, including our hopes and the lives of everyone in the world. Zhuo Fan looked at the two, then nodded. Let's begin then. I accept my previous life's inheritance. Oh, I see. In the Luo clan's hall, the 3 sacred beasts sat around and finished their tale. Dragon ancestor sighed. The heavenly sovereign and Zhuo Fan were destined to meet. They shared the same heavenly Taos but took opposite directions, brothers turning on each other. Kunpeng nodded. With Zhuo Fan and the heavenly sovereign refining the 10 paths, one got the results while the other experienced them. Whomever reaches the supreme path first decides the fate of us all. Xiao muttered. Then what we can do now is mess with the heavenly sovereign's focus and buy Zhuo Fan time. Kunpeng was solemn. We need many experts. Kilin and Kaior, you're with me and Old Dragon. We will unite all humanity and help you become mature sacred beasts. The two nodded. Xiao glanced at Sword Child. You're coming with me. The place where Sword Heart reached his path will be of help to you. As Zhuo Fan's demonic sword, your opponent will be Heavenly Sovereign's sword. Right, Sword Child clenched his fists, ready for battle. They were the only ones who could actually be of help. The 3 sacred beasts wasted no time, leaving with them, and the Luo clan was left without a plan. Luo Yunhai pondered and shouted, Everyone, whoever is willing to die with me is welcome to come. Yunhai, Luo Yuncheng cried. She knew what he was up to. Luo Yunhai took a deep breath. With everything at stake, no one will be safe. The destruction of the world is an end to us all. We are weak, but just like how we surrounded the invincible sword, we will prevail. We can't threaten a sovereign, but stalling even for a moment is good. Luo Yunhai stormed out of the hall with the rest ready to die alongside him. Luo Yuncheng didn't stop him, closing her eyes and hoping for Zhuo Fan to make it in time to save Yunhai. 3 days later, Luo Yunhai led the entire Emperor lands to war on Mirror Moon Cottage. They stared at the boundary and Li Jingshan, and the others led the forces into the small building. They had barely rushed inside when they splattered on the ground in pieces from a mere strong wind. Hundreds fell at that moment alone. The men were shaken, with some experts from the 8 Emperor's lands turning to the Luo clan having never experienced such a massacre. The Luo clan, however, was unfazed. With the military as the core of their conduct, they knew the risks of going to war. First, it was to protect the people of a third-rate empire. Now it was to protect the world, for it held the people they loved. For them, they would jump into hell even knowing it would have no effect at all. This was the only thing they could do for their people. Waves of experts from Sacred Domain, led by the Luo clan's higher-ups, rushed at the boundary to break it with their own flesh and blood. Thousands, then millions, all exploded in a shower of blood. Such a sacrifice was nothing before the Heavenly Sovereign's barrier, but maybe the incessant shouting and clamor did have some effect, for the 8 half-sovereigns came out. Whoosh sword energy flared everywhere and took tens of thousands of men down with them. A red-haired man shouted, "If you're in such a rush to die, go die hanging from a tree like the bugs you are instead of buzzing in our ears. You're disturbing Master's cleansing. Great, that's why we're here," Luo Yunhai smiled. "If we can harass him, then our deaths are worth it." The red-haired man's eye twitched. "Is it worth losing so many lives?" "Absolutely," Luo Yunhai signaled, and Qu Yanhai and his wife led another charge against the 8 with their imperial marks. Boom, the 8 swiped with their fingers and they all turned to ashes, even the initial elders of the Luo clan. Luo Yunhai didn't even blink, his mind set as his hand fell again, sending heaven and earth sages this time, who obeyed without fault. The red-haired man squinted with puzzlement. "Do they all want to die for nothing? Humph, then taking their head will change their minds." The man flashed before Luo Yunhai and clutched his neck. "Take the head and the body will follow. Your death will make them all scatter. You're nothing but weak bugs, hardly worth our time." "Go ahead then," Luo Yunhai mocked without fear. "I may die, but they won't retreat because we all understand one fundamental truth. Retreating means the end of the world, them included. Living one more day is worth it." "Wrong, you think we're doing it for us?" "You're not," Luo Yunhai shook his head, sneering. "I heard about the Heavenly Sovereign's matters, that you've been around him for so long that you've forgotten humanity's strength. In different situations, we'd be afraid of half-sovereigns, but not this time. For behind us are the people we must protect." Luo Yunhai's voice was carried through the sky, echoing in the hearts of all men. The 8 Emperor's lands experts faltered in their retreat, growing furious and charging as well. Bam! Luo Yunhai was sent flying and coughing blood, dead. The red-haired man sneered, then froze. He found that the death of the leader did nothing to dissuade the rest from throwing their lives. Just like Luo Yunhai said, they all held little care for themselves. Ignorant fools, the 8 half-sovereigns mocked them as they slaughtered them. The sky took a red tint from the flood of blood. What was strange was that none cried in misery. Sword Heart stood before the courtyard and watched the spectacle in silence before turning to the Heavenly Sovereign's room. The Heavenly Sovereign asked, "Is the disturbance still around?" "Heavenly Sovereign, they came to harass your cleansing. They won't leave." "Humph, a bunch of fools think they can disturb my meditation with some noise. They are indeed fools, oblivious to how useless it all is. But I don't believe they'll stop." Sword Heart gave a sigh. "I've never seen ants pick up a fight with a half-sovereign, let alone multiple. Do they hope to beat them with numbers?" The Heavenly Sovereign was silent and Sword Heart left. The clamor outside went on still for 3 whole months. The blood dyed the earth red, covered in corpses for miles. The 8 half-sovereigns watched in awe as they still charged over the wall of corpses. They had wandered the world and seen many aspects of humanity, but never like this. Is it the final push before dying? No, they had seen that madness plenty of times. This was different. Every man here became a hero of legends, a fearless warrior. But such an ideal did not exist until now. I'd have let you go any other time. Whoosh, a huge image appeared as the red-haired man released his sacred body and unleashed a scarlet wave. "But come just one more time and I have no choice to be cruel." The men didn't even flinch. He nodded. "Fine, then allow me to deliver you from life." Whoosh, a sword wave came down like death, yet their eyes never wavered. Bam, a small figure appeared and broke the attack. Sword Heart, who a violent explosion shook the skies and the 8 half-sovereigns withdrew in shock. The actual Sword Heart in the courtyard shook and gasped. The aura of a sovereign, that kid found his path. Bang, the 5 sacred beasts appeared as well with their mighty auras, making the sacred bodies crumble. The 8 fell back in shock. They had no chance against the might of the beasts at the level of sovereigns. Half-sovereigns were the closest to the sovereign stage, but far beneath them. Yunhai, Elder Li, Elder Q, Gu Santong noticed the familiar faces among the bodies with clenched fists. Kunpeng sighed, "How foolish. Why could you do something so pointless? I shouldn't have said so much, telling you to just wait instead. This is humanity, the human path." Xiao's only eye shook and roared, "Sword Sovereign, get out here right now. Look at all the dead people, they are the humanity you yearned for." Sword Sovereign looked outside and turned heavy. Heavenly Sovereign spoke, "Sword Heart, the old man is calling you. Go and break it, the once humane sword path." Whoosh, a prismatic glow entered Sword Sovereign. He shook and gasped, "Heavenly Sovereign, you're giving me my path. You're my heavenly sword, yours is mine." As I refine the 10 paths, they include yours as well. Now that the enemy has come, I'm at a critical moment and can only rely on you. Go lead the 8 fools and block those beasts. Whoosh, prismatic glows flew out of Heavenly Sovereign's room and into the half-sovereigns. The 8 shuddered, their powers surging like a flood and making the world tremble. This is the power of the sovereign stage, the red-haired man cackled. Heavenly Sovereign didn't lie to us. When he stole the others' paths, he will grant them upon us, helping us break through and fulfilling our life's wish. The others were laughing out of joy. Only the 5 sacred beasts stared coldly. Whoosh. Sword Sovereign appeared before them, holding a white sword and pointing it at the 6. Xiao's lone eye glared with hatred. Tai Jiangxin, you're finally here. I considered you a friend. Why did you attack me? Loyalty stands above. I can only say sorry. Humph, when you trained your path with me, you said it was a human sword path while leaving heavenly sword path behind. So I found someone for you, one that achieved the path you trained in that cave. Patting Sword Child's shoulder, Xiao taunted. Heavenly sword path against human sword path, which is stronger, which is weaker. You must be eager to know the result. Go ahead, give it a try. Is the sword path your heart created stronger, or the sword path you learned by Heavenly Sovereign's side? Clink. Sword Child held a pitch-black longsword, pointing it forward. I am a demonic sword, you, a heavenly sword. Before the showdown between Dad and Sword Sovereign, we will settle our fight. Ha ha ha, there can only be one who can wield the sword path. Since we're both sword path sovereigns, we must fight. Sword Sovereign shot for Sword Child. Sword Child flew forward as well, and the 2 swords met thousands of times in a blink. Whoosh, the 2 pulled back and explosions cracked the sky, leaving black holes. Even the stars and sun were gone. The people gasped with the Emperor Land's forces falling back, not out of fear but knowing help has come. Stopping Heavenly Sovereign depended on them. A leaf floated between the 2, swirling in the breeze. As it barely touched the ground, the 2 jumped into action. Clanging sounded all over the place, the only sign the 2 were even fighting. The 5 sacred beasts and the 8 half-sovereigns were the only ones able to see their sword energy clash. The half-sovereigns grew excited, shouting at the sacred beasts. They say your strength is that of a sovereign. Now that we're at the same stage, I ask for your guidance. You, Kunpeng raised an eyebrow, you're not even close. Red-haired man sneered, we'll just see about that. Bam. The red-haired man shot for Kunpeng while the others moved as well. The 5 sacred beasts shared a look. The 2 sides clashed, unleashing a wild shockwave. The audience only saw it as one clash, resulting in the 8 half-sovereigns spurting blood and being flung to the ground. How can this be? They were stunned. We're sovereigns, so why did you beat us? Kunpeng spat with disdain. You call that a sovereign? More like a faker. You think it's that easy to be won. A true sovereign takes years upon years understanding their path to become the sole master of it. You all walk the sword path and are using other sovereigns' paths. They don't fit you and you expect to use it to its full ability. Heavenly Sovereign said that as long as we have a sovereign path, we can be one. How's he lied? How else did you think he could earn your undying devotion, bewitched and trapped in his domain? Weren't you all the peak of the mortal domain in your time? How could you fall for such a cheap trick? Greed must have blinded you, ha ha ha. Kunpeng laughed at them and they were left utterly confused. Another boom echoed and revealed the upright Sword Child and Sword Sovereign's lone arm bleeding. Sword Sovereign smiled, you won. You are now the Sword Sovereign. No, you let me win. Sword Child looked confused. Why? You could have beaten me if you went all out. Sword Sovereign looked at Xiao. Sword Heart, a cold voice echoed and a golden eye appeared in the sky. You still chose the human path. Kunpeng fell back in shock. Heavenly Sovereign, I owed it to Xiao from then. I didn't betray you. I lost to the human sword path I understood before. I just knew your sword path wasn't a pure heavenly sword, or else he couldn't have controlled your sovereign path all those years ago. That's why I didn't let you guide this garbage even with your almighty sword path. I made the right choice. Garbage, the half-sovereigns shouted. Heavenly Sovereign, is that all we amount to you? What else are you? Though you've done well compared to bugs, now you can't help me and the paths you have are a waste. I'll be taking those back. They shuddered and the 8 got flung into the sky, making them cry out as they vanished in the eye. Sword Sovereign was dragged as well. Xiao reached him in time, holding his hand. Tai Jiangxin, tell me the truth. What do you mean by returning the favor? I am Heavenly Sovereign's heavenly sword. I can never betray him. All I could ever do was pass my path. It's up to heaven if he can combine the 10 paths. He sent a sword energy from his finger and pushed Xiao back. Sword Sovereign was absorbed in the huge eye as he smiled. Brother Xiao, goodbye. I hope you won't be destroyed with the world. Tai Jiangxin, Xiao roared, his eyes shaking. Sword Sovereign was swallowed with his path. Whoosh, Mirror Moon Cottage erupted and a white figure flew out and stepped on a mountain. He looked down on them all with disdain. Beasts, you've caused enough havoc. Now you'll deal with me. Sovereign, Kunpeng winced as he turned to the familiar figure. You left Mirror Moon Cottage. Did you remove the bewitching? Heavenly Sovereign smirked. With Emotion Sovereign's path and my ability, I can now remove her bewitching. But you've been buzzing in my ear for long enough to bother me from refining the paths. Your persistent social call left me with no choice but to get rid of you first. The question is, will you come at once or one at a time? Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Kunpeng's beard shook. Facing Heavenly Sovereign alone is disgracing Sovereign's honor. Hypocrite. Heavenly Sovereign laughed. Old man, you haven't changed a bit. No, you're actually more humane now. Stop throwing excuses and just come all of you. Whoosh! Heavenly Sovereign flashed among the 5 beasts. They started and struck as one. Golden flames, azure flame, Killin strength, all were unleashed upon Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign turned into a shadow and vanished, appearing above young Sanzi. So you're Killin's son. Ha ha ha, sorry, but I killed your dad, and I'm more sorry for what happens next, killing you as well. Bam. He poked Gu Santong's back. The incredible power slammed him into the ground, with the earth around crumbling like a deck of cards. Gu Santong coughed blood, looking pale. That's Shadow Sovereign's art and Tyrant Emperor's endless power. Kunpeng gasped. He refined 2 paths already and can use their strength. Even without Divine Eye of the Void, I'll still crush you with raw power. Heavenly Sovereign cackled. Whoosh! A black sword wave shot for his head. Heavenly Sovereign pointed with 2 fingers and destroyed it with his attack. A sword wave reached Sword Child, sending him hurtling into the ground. Blood gushed out of his shoulder. The hardest Sovereign weapon was hurt just like that. SSS Kunpeng gasped. That's not Sword Sovereign's path. His sword path doesn't have that much power. He can't have Sword Child so wounded in one strike. Ha ha ha, it is and isn't. I have taken Zhuo Fan's demon transformation art, including the apocalyptic sword. Demon transformation art's greatest asset is combining all paths. Sword Sovereign's path combined with Zhuo Fan's sword path, as in Heavenly Sword and Demonic Sword, added to the mix my power, will become the strongest sword. I hardly need to do anything just to kill you all, ha ha ha. Kunpeng was grave. Heavenly Sovereign was far more dangerous now. He had been toying with them so far, yet that proved the sheer gap between them. Kunpeng took a deep breath and roared, into your main form, sacred beast, the world reversal formation. Kunpeng turned into the vaulting Kunpeng, a creature 500 meters big that blotted the sky. Xiao and the rest turned to their beast form as well. Gu Santong struggled to stand, turning into a Killin. The sacred beasts howled, shuddering the skies and quaking the earth. The Emperor Land's cultivators ran away from this incredible fight. Only Heavenly Sovereign looked on with disdain. Whoosh! The 5 sacred beasts had Heavenly Sovereign surrounded, spinning around him and unleashing tremendous power as a vortex formed. Heavenly Sovereign kept watching with scorn. Crack multicolored powers whistled at Heavenly Sovereign, turning into a deadly black energy right before they reached him. This, yes, the destruction power you crave. We'll send you off to hell, Kunpeng shouted. The other 4 beasts stared at him with hope that it was enough to combine the powers into the supreme strength and wound him. Heavenly Sovereign begged to differ. Destruction power, ha ha ha. I might be excited if it were ages ago, but now you are useless to me. Apocalyptic thunderflame eye. Heavenly Sovereign's left eye flashed with black thunderflames, while his right eye shone in 4 golden halos. Thunderflame space crusher. Boom-crushing explosions rumbled all around as the power of annihilation faced the 5 sacred beasts' combined power. The tremendous shockwave flung the 5 sacred beasts back, with the black power flashing for thousands of miles and erasing everything. The slower Emperor Land's cultivators were gone from this world in a blink. The place was devoid of life for thousands of miles. Kunpeng bled from the mouth, his voice weak. That's Zhuo Fan's apocalyptic thunderflame eye. Why you? I told you I've taken everything you have. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. This younger brother of mine finally did something for me, bringing back this type of destructive power. My patience in keeping this pawn around has borne fruits at long last. This power is part of yours as well. By sending you off with the same strength you have is quite poetic, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign shouted, his eyes sinister, starting with you, sly Kunpeng, thunderflame void annihilation. Whoosh! The terrifying thunderflame turned into a huge beam of blackness, shooting straight for Kunpeng. Kunpeng was horrified and his heart sank. I'm done for, dying at Heavenly Sovereign's hand. Bam! The beam scattered right before impact, vanishing into nothing. Heavenly Sovereign paused and looked at the familiar figure. A man in white held an outstretched palm, thwarting Heavenly Sovereign's attack and revealing identical eyes. Father, Gu Santong and Kaior shouted in joy. Kunpeng shouted, Zhuo Fan, you're back at last. No, he isn't Zhuo Fan. Heavenly Sovereign sized him up and mocked. Younger brother, you relied on the reincarnation path and Zhuo Fan's broken soul to return. Which path do you have now, I wonder, the emotional heavenly Tao or the destruction path? Zhuo Fan looked calm, his smile faint. Heavenly Sovereign, you've got it all wrong. I am Zhuo Fan, not your brother. I walk the demonic path, not the heavenly Tao. You didn't use my younger brother's emotional heavenly Tao's power. Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook. All the lives you walked may be related, but you're never the same. When one returns, the other must vanish. My foolish brother said he'd come to stop me, so how could he be the one to fade away? And this power, how is it that you wield it? Zhuo Fan smiled, wrong again. He vanished and I returned, only because he believed I'm better fit to stop you. Even if you're at the supreme stage, I'm the only one who can fight you, not him. What's that supposed to mean? Sovereign stage is tantamount to gods of legend, but with demons and gods at odds, only a demon can fell a god. Zhuo Fan smirked. A god destroys the world to cleanse it, but a demon rises from humanity and will not let you succeed. Demons and gods have always been at odds. This is heaven's will. Master Nine's Serenity said he gave his path to your brother, but I believe his dying wish has been to stop your destruction and fall into the demonic path, becoming what you see now today. Humph, how can you ever stop me? A worthless demonic path can't reach the supreme stage. Well, Zhuo Fan smirked. I can't say for sure, though I've felt something else. A threshold that none has felt since the beginning of time. Not you, not your brother, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a long look. Another threshold. Humph, enough stalling. You're barely a half supreme right now and you spout about something higher. Zhuo Fan, I don't know if your path is from my younger brother or not, but Heavenly Tao is heartless, its power set. When I become supreme, the world's end is nigh. Now that you've brought the path of reincarnation, you're only helping me. Hum, as his words fell, a huge eye appeared in the sky. Give me the last path, Zhuo Fan. Boom, a terrible pressure befell the world and anyone in it. The people felt their knees shiver. The earth cracked in more and more places. The mountains crumbled as the impossible weight crushed everything. Then a pulling force like no other sucked all the pieces into the huge eye. Zhuo Fan and the 5 sacred beasts were pulled as well, unable to stop. Blotting the heaven, Zhuo Fan held his hands together, releasing a colorful and soothing aura. Whoosh, it spread once it reached the heavens, expanding until it blocked the heavenly eye and its power. The rubble and the sacred beasts fell on the ground, shocked by Zhuo Fan's power and how easy it was for him to stop Divine Eye of the Void. The 10 paths mingling within his body brought about a huge change, one that would make him victorious. Bam! Their hopes were dashed with the sudden explosion as a tornado swept everything. They finally righted their huge bodies and witnessed Heavenly Sovereign and Zhuo Fan in the eye of the storm clashing fists. Tyrant Sovereign's fists, Kunpeng gasped. What ungodly power, and it comes from both of them using it. With both at the half-supreme stage, not even Tyrant Sovereign could have unleashed so much power. Just the aftershock sent us flying. The others nodded, with Gu Santong looking tense and worried. Can Father win against Heavenly Sovereign? It's hard to tell, Kunpeng sighed, watching the two duke it out with sweat trickling down. The 2 fists boomed with every clash. Zhuo Fan and Heavenly Sovereign gazed into each other's eyes. Then, a black wisp leaked from Heavenly Sovereign and sent Zhuo Fan flying. SSS Kunpeng gasped and cried. They both hold to the 10 paths to heaven, yet Zhuo Fan lost the exchange. Humph, of course, since their essence lies in the sovereign paths. As I have them, not even the inheritances he got from those fools can match. Bam! Heavenly Sovereign shot straight for Zhuo Fan, laughing. Beasts, did you think getting 10 sovereigns' inheritances would be enough against me? You're only helping fulfill my goals. Wuxi flashed in Zhuo Fan's face and clawed his chest. Hand over the last rebirth path. Fulfill your role as a pawn. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan faded like a shadow. Shadow Sovereign's shadow escape. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. Stop stalling. I know the path's tricks better than you ever could. Whoosh! Heavenly Sovereign became a shadow as well, and the two flitted across the skies with none able to track them. Sometimes they clashed, sometimes they hid, everything going way too fast. Zhuo Fan had roamed all over the place, unable to get rid of Heavenly Sovereign, frowning as the latter closed in. He chose to stop hiding, and just as Heavenly Sovereign's shadow got close, he popped 1,000 miles away. Heavenly Sovereign showed himself as well, using the same move to give chase. Humph! Child Sovereign's Heavenly Cloud Step. Are we playing now? A shame the skills you got from them are mastered by me now. There's no escape. You only mastered their paths while ignorant of their mindsets and hearts when walking those paths. You will never understand the essence of those skills. And I'll reach the supreme stage so long I have the 10 paths. I don't need to understand some pathetic human paths, and that's why you will never know the purpose of the human path. How hearts turn from good to unspeakable, or turn over a new leaf to do good in their lives. Just as how they are weak as ants yet still dare throw their lives against the Heavenly Sovereign. The figures slowed down and Zhuo Fan became calm. You know nothing, even with the 10 paths. You've only grasped their strength and not the journeys. Heavenly Sovereign took advantage of this moment to get closer, sinking his claw into Zhuo Fan's chest with fervor in his eyes. That's all I wanted, without the worthless experiences of some bugs, ha ha ha. Whoosh, he ripped his hand out of Zhuo Fan's body and spilled his blood as a prismatic glow shone in his hand. Damn it, he got the reincarnation path. Kun Peng panicked, despair setting in. With all 10 paths, he'll become supreme and destroy the world. It's all over. Kun Peng slumped to the ground, powerless. The other beasts were shocked. The world will end. Zhuo Fan had a calm gaze. Heavenly Sovereign, you've been ensnared by demons. Demons, Heavenly Sovereign snickered. I follow the void path. No demonic path can touch me. Even if I do have demons, I first need to have a heart. Where else would the heart demons be? Greed becomes a demon, fervor becomes a demon, conceit becomes a demon. You have many of them. Since no one could handle you, I will do it for them. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. You, ha, you're my pawn, your path came from me. The 10 paths you've yearned are now with me, including the reincarnation path. Heavenly Sovereign looked at the prismatic glow in the sky dissipated, and the heavenly eye exerted its pressure on the world. Ha ha ha, now even the reincarnation veil you set up with the past is gone. The world is mine. What can you possibly do to me? Heavenly Sovereign, demonic path always follows the iron rule that only evil can fight evil. As a demon preys on lesser demons, a bigger demon is needed to defeat him. The appearance of a demon crushing 5 people demands my arrival, for I am all the demons in the world. Zhuo Fan was solemn. This is my duty and mission. This is my final warning. Stop. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Are you insane? I'm Heavenly Sovereign, moreover the supreme that will destroy the world, and a mere demonic emperor thinks you can to stop me. The 10 paths. You can have them. I don't care. You can be supreme. I don't care. For I have lived for 32 lives, and I haven't come for that. Zhuo Fan had a big smirk on his face. In the heavenly rebirth lake, I finally realized what I truly wanted and understood my karma with you. You are not my match. I let you be the ruler of the martial emperor continent, or what? Heavenly Sovereign flung his arm. Arrogant fool, you are weak and still dare preach me. This is what I taught you back then. Don't you dare throw it back at me. I'm this close to the true Tao. No one can stop me from taking the last step. Heavenly Sovereign swallowed the prismatic glow and Zhuo Fan just watched. The heavenly eye sent stronger fluctuation, while its golden halo grew brighter. Heavenly Sovereign closed his eyes as an eerie power swirled around him. His hair fluttered as black shone in a creepy light. The huge eye shuddered and vanished. Kun Peng looked taken aback, watching as the blue sky turned white with 13 silver rings shining throughout the world. Divine Eye of the Void, 13th stage, Void Eye. The wild hair fell, turning from black to silver. Heavenly Sovereign opened his eyes, one white and one black. Gone was the purple lightning gold eye and the divine eye of the void. On his forehead, another eye opened, pale and shining in 13 silver rings like the sky. That, Kun Peng crumbled to the ground, his heart shaking. It's all over. His eye covers the entire sky. He holds the world in his palm. This is the supreme path. We can no longer stop him. The others felt crushed by despair. Only Zhuo Fan stared with an impassive look, making even the now supreme Heavenly Sovereign feel uneasy. You're not afraid? Stop if you still want to be a part of this world. Humph, you're still boasting. Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Younger brother, I call you this for the last time. Do you know what the supreme heavenly eye is? Zhuo Fan said. Void Eye Genesis. Yes, you sensed it too, as someone aware of the supreme stage. Heavenly Sovereign smiled in pride. This isn't like the apocalyptic thunderflame or the divine eye of the void. It will erase the whole world and then create a purer one without any filth. There's nothing in this world, not even your apocalyptic thunderflame, that it can't remove, just like this. Pa. A silver glow came from the sky and a mountain up and vanished, like it was never part of this world to begin with. Kun Peng was overwhelmed with shock and fear. Zhuo Fan sighed. The world has yet to run its course. If you choose the path of defiance, it won't end well. It's not for you to decide what will become of this world. Ha ha ha, mocked. The fate of the world is now in my hands. Just like the ancient plan, the world will be created anew. I will cleanse it of all filth. Ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign cackled and the void eye shone in a silver glow. Silver waves washed over the world, the lands, the seas, each removed from existence. Kun Peng's group shrank back to human form, trying to get away. Don't let the glow touch you. It's certain death. As all of creation died out, they would soon have nowhere to hide. They hid in caves, only to vanish the next second than anywhere else they could find. Heavenly Sovereign laughed at their futile attempts to squeeze just a few more moments out of their lives. These are bugs, unable to be the masters of their own fate. Zhuo Fan looked coldly, fading as well when the silver glow reached him. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. Younger brother, farewell for good. Since ancient times, so long has passed, but nothing has changed. No need for that. We'll be seeing each other soon. Zhuo Fan smirked, shuddering Heavenly Sovereign's heart. Why did he smile? In the Luo clan, with all the fighters gone to stop Heavenly Sovereign, Luo Yuncheng and the girls were praying. The sky turned silver and its glow erased everything it touched. The people panicked and Luo Yuncheng held her head. We failed and the end is coming. King Cheng Zhuo Fan, he'll be fine. Chu King Cheng prayed. She looked at the silver glows with light in her eyes, her memories resurfacing. Sister Yuncheng, I feel like I recall something, the times I spent with you in the mortal domain. What's the point of recalling it now? Luo Yuncheng sighed. Chu King Cheng smiled. There is, be it life or death, love never changes. I've been looking for him for so long in the mortal domain, and he looked for me in the sacred domain, even when I wasn't around. Just knowing this, just a brief remembrance is enough. Chu King Cheng smiled, tears of joy trailing down her face. Ding, the tear shone in 7 colors, flying into the sky and vanishing. Not even the silver glow could erase it. Wushit flew above Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shuddered. What's going on? What's it doing here? Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone brighter, but no amount of power could erase one lonely tear, even as it destroyed everything else. Heavenly Sovereign started. What is this? 10 paths return, true self-origin. I live while the world hangs on the edge. Boom, the familiar voice echoed throughout the skies. Heavenly Sovereign gasped, Zhuo Fan, how? You were destroyed. Why can he speak? Kunpeng's group started and looked at the strange power coming from a tear. Zhuo Fan shouted again. The 10 paths to heaven, the first heavenly path, the void path, encompass the world, cleanses the cosmos and returns. Hum, a shudder passed and a prismatic glow appeared around the tear. Heavenly Sovereign gawked in shock. That's impossible. The void path is with me. Why is another one there? Did he form the same sovereign path? Zhuo Fan's shouts continued. The 10 paths to heaven, second human path, invincible tyrant path, boundless and unstoppable might return. The 10 paths to heaven, third human path, 9 serenities demonic path, encompassing the lands, encompassing relationships. Return, the 10 paths to heaven, fourth human path, iron-blooded sword path, loyalty and righteousness return. The 10 paths to heaven, fifth human path, the night star path, all connected, all compassionate return. The 10 paths to heaven. Sixth human path, hellish nether path, outside of mortal coil of its sorrows and struggles return. The 10 paths to heaven, seventh human path, concealed shadow path, dashing outside of light return. The 10 paths to heaven. 8 human path, rebirth path, cleansing all the past return. The 10 paths to heaven, ninth human path, ardent passion path, entwining and touching the heavens return. The 10 paths to heaven, 10th human path, mortal path. Heart's origin, heart's purity return. Hum with the shouts, sovereign paths gathered around the teardrop. A boom resounded and the paths dispersed, ripping the sky apart and the silver glow. Heavenly Sovereign spewed blood, roaring at the now shining sky. No, this can't be. I am supreme. How did this happen? Why did the 10 paths to heaven appear? I have refined them all. I told you, you only use their effects, not their essence. Those who fuse them can form them again at any time. Zhuo Fan spoke again. Heavenly Sovereign, I gave you fair warning. As you insist on being alone, I can no longer keep you in this world. 10 paths unite, universe palm. The 10 paths formed a spinning circle, then turned into a prismatic palm that pressed down on Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shook his head in denial. No, I'm supreme, you can't beat me, void eye. Heavenly Sovereign's third eye opened again, sending silver glows, but nothing could stop the prismatic palm's attack. Heavenly Sovereign was reaching despair upon contact, the palm erasing him and vanishing as well soon after. It all felt like a dream, impossible and unbelievable. Kunpeng crawled to his feet, looking at the clear sky with a smile. It's over at last. But where's Zhuo Fan? Father, where are you? Gu Santong and Sword Child looked for him. A light drizzle fell on the land, but the drops were prismatic in color, sinking into the earth. PFF, the ground moved and a hand came out, followed by familiar faces. Gu Santong started. Luo Yunhai, elderly old Dan, didn't you die? Why? We died. They scratched their heads, oblivious. Where are we? What happened? Santong said, didn't you in Heavenly? Heavenly what? What was I saying? Gu Santong scratched his head, turning to Kaior and Sword Child. What are we doing? They looked around, lost, their minds blank as they tried to come up with a name. They forgot soon after, enjoying the others' return. No one paid the empty sky any attention. The sacred beasts were still on good terms with the Luo clan, the former sword kings with their venerables, and they were now joking about how they were so mighty yet staying with the Luo clan. They just laughed it out, oblivious to the void inside, the vanishing of one man. The entire world was the same. Zhuo Fan vanished from the world in their memories. Heavenly Sovereign, let's have another round of chess. In a white world, Zhuo Fan sat on a stone stool before a chessboard and smiled at the tense Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign looked around. Where is this place? Your world. Zhuo Fan made the introductions. Didn't you want to remake the world? This is how the world first started, with nothing in it. Feel free to let your creativity explode and doodle to your heart's content. Heavenly Sovereign stared at Zhuo Fan. This isn't what I want. I want to go to Martial Emperor Continent. That's my world. You can't go. I've erased all our traces from it. You never existed there, not in records and neither in memories. There were only 9 ancient sovereigns. Of course, there was no steward Zhu either. Heavenly Sovereign gasped, you erased a person's mark on the world. Jay, just what stage did you reach? It doesn't matter, let's play. Zhuo Fan gestured at the chessboard. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a strange look, then sat down across from him. Zhuo Fan was calm this time, each piece landing casually with no hidden intent. Heavenly Sovereign could never win regardless, but neither could Zhuo Fan, ending in a draw. This was what made it scary. The highest skill in chess was not winning, but maintaining a balance with the adversary. Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook, the piece in his hand falling as he shook his head. You win. It's only a draw. A draw means you win. Heavenly Sovereign said, may I ask you something? Feel free. What is your path? Heavenly Sovereign looked on with hope. Ever since you appeared, I felt your path was different from my younger brother. It's emotional but different. What is it? Zhuo Fan smiled. His compassion was greater, that of the higher love, while mine was only of minor love. Minor love could form a path and beat me. Aren't the emotions in the world split into minor and major? Zhuo Fan smirked, causing Heavenly Sovereign to shudder. Zhuo Fan stood, Heavenly Sovereign, including the 9 sovereigns, you were all too stubborn. The world moved along its own rules. What major and minor love? Emotion is emotion. It comes from the human heart, simple as that. I recommend a cultivation method made by mortals. It may not look like much to you, but this is exactly what you sovereigns lack. Zhuo Fan sent the information in his mind with a flick. True self-art, Heavenly Sovereign muttered, return to self, merge with the world, human and heaven becoming one, reaching Tao. Zhuo Fan, you. Heavenly Sovereign cried out, but Zhuo Fan was gone. He looked around the empty space, heaven, earth and man paths united, grasping the world stage above supreme. Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone with hope and looked at the white sky. He didn't perceive Zhuo Fan beyond the white cover, holding a white sphere and flinging it into the darkness. He was surrounded by many spheres, flickering and roaming through the darkness. Some were pure white, others were gray, and the last were black. Zhuo Fan watched it all and pointed. PFF, dozens of black spheres vanished. Sorry, it's not that I destroyed you, but that your world is already at its end, turned into hell. I'm only doing heaven's duty in removing it. Zhuo Fan turned to the endless spheres, focusing on a gray one. Martial Emperor Continent has yet to reach its end, but it's getting closer. Zhuo Fan roamed around the darkness, tracing the spheres filled with vitality and popping the black ones. 1,000 years later, Martial Emperor Continent had gone through many changes. Heroes emerged, forming their own force. Even without sacred mountains monopolizing everything, now there was conflict among many parts. The largest was the Luo clan. As it was the closest to sacred beasts and had the mysterious sword sovereign in their home, they were the ultimate force no one touched. The Luo clan had the fortune of maintaining its honor and integrity through the ages, never throwing their weight around and looking out for the people. Even so, in a world of strength, the weak always were persecuted. Stop right there, hand over the spirit stones. It's our money to buy food, the hell I will. Among the verdant trees of a forest, 2 girls of 9 and 10 years old ran barefoot and with dirty faces. Pa, the girls tripped to the ground and the 6 teenagers caught up, showing their depraved grins. Hee, let's see you run now. Don't come any closer or you'll be sorry. The older girl stood up before her sister. I'm at the 8th layer of chi condensation stage. Any closer and you're dead, the guys mocked. Ha, I'm so scared. What was our cultivation again? Boss, we're in the bone tempering stage, the weakest being in the 3rd layer. The girls shuddered and the guys laughed harder, grab them and sell them to a brothel to earn us some dozen spirit stones, ha. Right, no, the sisters huddled in fear. Pa, the guys found themselves frozen, unable to move. Their creepy smiles stuck on their faces. Soft footsteps were heard as Zhuo Fan appeared before the shivering sisters with a smile. Don't be scared. They won't hurt you anymore. The girls looked at Zhuo Fan's kind face and bowed in thanks. What are your names? Zhuo Fan asked despite knowing. The older of the 2 replied, I'm Zhao Yu and this is my younger sister, Zhao Shuang. Yu Shuinger, Zhuo Fan muttered and reached out. Will you come with me as my disciples? Disciple? Zhao Yu asked. Do we get to eat? Sure, and no one will pick on you ever again. Great, we greet master. The 2 girls were so simple, immediately bowing to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan smiled and took their hands, vanishing. The guys could move again and plopped on the ground in confusion. Where are they? Strange. Elsewhere, Chu Qingcheng stood before a rundown house with a sweet smile. 2 girls nearby whispered nearby, why does senior sister like to stay here at her age? She must have some weird hobby. Isn't it better to cultivate in nature? Who knows? Maybe she's waiting for who? That would be me. The girls jumped at the man's voice. They stared back at Zhuo Fan standing behind them. Who are you? When did you get here? Don't be rude and step back, Chu Qingcheng shouted. The 2 flinched and noticed her icy stare. They wanted to complain, but they saw the tears and excitement in her eyes. They were sensible to leave. Zhuo Fan sighed, stepping forward. After 1,000 years, even with erasing everyone's memories, only you remember me. I knew that was your trick back then. Yeah, since I can no longer stay with them. It's best to be forgotten, but I didn't forget. Maybe it was your tears that I have within my heart. Zhuo Fan nodded. Maybe it's heaven's will. Everyone believed Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother reincarnated to find his sovereign path and to stop Heavenly Sovereign, when the truth is he was searching to restore his emotion center. You are my emotional center. Then will you take me along? Of course. Chu Qingcheng hugged Zhuo Fan tightly, moved to tears. Where will you take me? Through a life of toil and hardships in the master's home. Master, Qingcheng asked, what did you do? Zhuo Fan showed a mysterious smile. Same old, stewarding the entire world. The end. You're finally here, Sword Sovereign. For a second there, I thought Heavenly Sovereign changed his mind, but we both know that if he's fixated on cleansing Heaven's will for millions of years, he's sure to stick with it for millions more. Zhuo Fan grinned. Sword Sovereign blinked, finding something changed in him. The last time he saw this man at Heavenly Sovereign's complete whim, now his confidence was off-putting. That means you know why I'm here. Are you going to follow with Heavenly Sovereign's wishes, or will things have to get ugly? Before that, I think you have a score to settle with Senior Xiao. Zhuo Fan smirked. Tai Jiangxin, you're finally showing yourself. I considered you a friend. Why did you attack me? Xiao's eyes stung at the memory of his betrayal. Loyalty stands above all else. All I can say is sorry. When you trained your path with me, you said it was a human sword path while leaving Heavenly Sword path behind. So I found someone for you, one that achieved the path you trained in that cave. Patting Sword Child's shoulder, Xiao taunted. Heavenly Sword path against the human sword path, which is stronger, which is weaker. You must be eager to know the result. Go ahead, give it a try. Is it your sword path your heart created stronger, or the sword path you learned by Heavenly Sovereign's side? Sword Child held a pitch-black longsword, pointing it forward. I am a demonic sword, you, a heavenly sword. Before the showdown between Dad and Sword Sovereign, we will settle our fight. Ha ha ha, there can only be one who can wield the sword path. Since we're both sword path sovereigns, our fight is inevitable. Sword Sovereign shot for Sword Child. Sword Child flew forward as well, and the two swords met thousands of times in a blink. The two pulled back and explosions cracked the sky, leaving black holes. Even the stars and sun were gone. One unleashed blinding and searing attacks with his white sword, while the other held total destruction at his fingertips through his apocalyptic sword. The landscape was changed around them from the sheer magnitude of the battle, with black and white fires spread as far as the eye could see. It was a miracle the world didn't end then and there. After the warm-up, the two went for ranged attacks, unleashing sword waves in endless amounts. But seeing as the attacks were just cancelled out, they went for an old-fashioned melee, using their brawn as well as skill to dodge and attack at a moment's notice while gliding through the other's assaults. Sword Child came charging with an overhead swing, to which Sword Sovereign sidestepped, swinging his own white sword for his opponent's neck. Sword Child leaned his head back. The white sword waved, taking a few strands of hair as it shot into the air, leaving a rend from one end of the horizon to the other. He used the momentum to do a roundhouse kick, forcing Sword Sovereign back, but he seemed to have forgotten that Sword Child was a sovereign weapon in body. He could unleash sword waves not just from his hands, but legs as well. It caught Sword Sovereign off guard as the black wave slammed him into his chest and buried him into some nameless mountain. Sword Sovereign came out of the rubble looking no worse for wear, with a smile on his face as he jumped back into the fray. The only ones who could perceive the constant shift of battle were the sacred beasts and Zhuo Fan, with the Sword Kings only making out bits and pieces when they slowed down as their swords clashed for the briefest of moments. The sacred beasts looked on with worry despite feeling for themselves the new power of Sword Child. The only reason they remained calm was because of Zhuo Fan's casual smile, as if this battle was a foregone conclusion, a mere formality to prove his insight. It baffled them what could have given him so much confidence despite the savage battle happening above them. To the others, it defied all logic, more so than the power they witnessed back in the mortal domain from the undisputed strongest man, invincible sword. As the incessant booms cracked the air and blasted the eardrums of the weaker Luo clansmen, some pattern began to emerge. While the thunder flame and the white power waned with time, it soon became apparent the white side was losing momentum faster than the other. After one particularly muffled bang, the two figures reappeared in the eyes of the major audience, standing far apart. While Sword Child huffed in exhaustion, Sword Sovereign was down to one knee and his lone arm bleeding. Sword Sovereign smiled. You have won. You are now the Sword Sovereign. Why did you let me win? You had plenty of chances to finish me off. Why didn't you take them? Sword Child looked in confusion. You could have beaten me if you just went all out from the start. Sword Sovereign turned to Xiao. He's here. Zhuo Fan spoke, drawing confused looks from the rest. Sword Heart, a cold voice echoed from all around and a golden eye appeared in the sky. You still chose the human path. Kunpeng fell back in shock. Heavenly Sovereign, what is he doing here? I thought he can't come out because of the bewitching. Heavenly Sovereign, I owed it to Xiao from back then. I did not betray you. I only lost to the human sword path I understood before. I just knew your sword path isn't a pure heavenly sword, or else he couldn't have controlled your sovereign path all those years ago. That's why I didn't let you guide those 8 fools even with your almighty sword path. I made the right choice. Sword Sovereign shuddered and got flung into the sky towards the eye. Xiao reached him in time, grabbing his hand. Tai Jiangxin, tell me the truth. What do you mean by returning the favor? I am Heavenly Sovereign's heavenly sword. I can never betray him. All I could ever do was pass my path. It's up to heaven if he can combine the 10 paths. And he glanced over at Zhuo Fan. He sent a sword energy from his finger and pushed Xiao back. Sword Sovereign was absorbed in the huge eye as he smiled. Brother Xiao, goodbye. I hope you won't be destroyed with the world. Tai Jiangxin, Xiao roared, his eyes shaking as Sword Sovereign was swallowed along with his path. I don't see your goons around to do your bidding. Have you grown tired of them, or you just like being alone as usual, big brother? Zhuo Fan smirked. Heavenly Sovereign's eyebrow twitched at the appellation, soon regaining his calm, yet strained smile. Well, look who decided to wake up. I'm curious though, how did you regain your past lives' memories when you had no heavenly rebirth lake to aid in the process? Though I must say, adversity has always suited you, little brother. Just look at you, a full-fledged sovereign. Granted, it did take you millions of years, give or take a couple thousand years, and for all other sovereigns to die beside me. Still, you pulled it off in the end. But only to always end up in the wrong path. As for the garbage, I had to do some spring cleaning since they were useless against your growing little posse, not that it would change anything. Regarding your question, that's for me to know and you to find out. Zhuo Fan gave a cryptic and insufferable reply, further irking the strongest being in the world with that cocky grin. Enough hokum, we'll talk more important matters over a game of Go like we used to, away from the buzzing crowd. Heavenly Sovereign lost his patience, flying away. Don't, Zhuo Fan, Chu Qingcheng begged. He must be here to finish what he started last time. Her voice quivered from recalling his tortured body barely holding on. Zhuo Fan kissed her forehead, making her grip on him tighten. It's fine. He could have done that from the start if he wanted to. His gaze turned grave as he looked at the sacred beasts. Besides, we have bigger things to worry about now, don't we? Heavenly Sovereign knows of the expanding sea of blackness, and that it would only be a matter of time before even we would fall prey to it, and sacred domain would be no more. It would do no one any good if our conflict end in both of us losing. It's why he is here, risking the bewitching's corruption of his path by walking out of his domain. If we don't get someone to reach the supreme stage before the sea of blackness swallows up the sacred domain, then all will be for nothing. Now, he just wants to talk, hoping to deal with this before we resume old hostilities. Just be careful, Luo Yuncheng hugged him with warm eyes, followed by the other girls. Have you forgotten who I am? Zhuo Fan smirked as he flew away. It's because we know that we worry, King Cheng whispered to herself. Zhuo Fan spotted the same mirror moon cottage mirage Heavenly Sovereign was so fond of and took a seat opposite from him, the Go board set for their match. Careful, big bro, I can't do this, I'm not your little brother, but Zhuo Fan. He began only to shed all pretense and be back to his old self. I might have lived that life, but that's not who I am, not anymore. We're finally being our true selves, Heavenly Sovereign said with a smile. Funny you should say that, Zhuo Fan followed with a smirk. Heavenly Sovereign frowned as he placed a white piece on the board. You know why I'm here, and you also know I won't be leaving here without it. The world is now at stake, not just your humanity, but the heavenly will and myself. We need to a supreme stage expert to deal with the mess you caused. That was my bad, but you can't blame me for trying to survive. That's what happens when you push someone into a corner, and let's not forget your part in it. Zhuo Fan smirk, which is why I risked venturing out of my domain, letting that accursed emotion Sovereign's bewitching corrupt further. Heavenly Sovereign was finding it hard to regain his calm ever since he lost his arm. Things won't go as you'd want them to. You must clearly see that what you're doing will be your own undoing. But I know simple words won't ever change your mind, or we wouldn't be here talking about it again after millions of years. Zhuo Fan said, we both know why I'm here, and I see, Heavenly Sovereign glanced at the board and saw them both matched, that you begin to understand what I'm after too. So give me what I've come for so we can save the sacred domain. Zhuo Fan sighed, here, and passed a prismatic glow from his hand to Heavenly Sovereign like he was passing salt, dropping his cultivation to half sovereign. I know, Heavenly Sovereign froze with a white piece in hand. He was still in mid-speech to convince Zhuo Fan about the greater good and all that spiel, an attempt to get him to play his game. This move took him by complete surprise, to say the least. You're giving it to me just like that? Heavenly Sovereign was skeptical. You don't want it? Zhuo Fan smirked, but the other snatched it on the spot, figured as much. You see, began Zhuo Fan, we both know what we need to do. It's because there's no way around it and that it works in both groups' favor. So why bother wasting time with pointless speeches and appeal to reason? Why bother with such convoluted and equally idiotic attempts at getting me to agree? I for one don't want to sit for a lecture. Just accepting the truth is so much easier and freeing. I will also need your demon transformation art. Zhuo Fan grunted and coughed blood as he asked, offering the art he'd been training for centuries like it was some useless object gathering dust in a basement somewhere. This isn't right. Why did he give up so easily? He never gives up ever. In all his lives, he struggled till the end. The only times he is calm about it is when death is a certainty or he has everyone playing in the palm of his hand. But what could he possibly do when he has no power, when he gave it up willingly? Having got what he wanted, Heavenly Sovereign finished the game, with both sides looking even still. He was going to go back to his domain and think this through, as well as fuse the 4, nay, 5 paths. Maybe insight towards the supreme stage will help him skip the other 5 and reach it faster. Before you go, know that cleansing the world is nothing similar to what you're envisioning. Zhuo Fan wheezed, blood leaking from his mouth. We shall see, until the next phenomenon. Heavenly Sovereign flew away and the Mirror Moon Cottage twisted to reveal a simple shack in the woods. Yes, we shall. Zhuo Fan smiled, placing one last black piece and turning the tide of the game to his side in crushing victory. Fan carries himself with difficulty, wobbling back to Luo clan, looking ragged and weary. Kunpeng gasped in fright at his weakened state, hardly better than a cripple, but saw something in his steeled gaze. You knew how this meeting was going to play out, so why did you still go through with it? Are you trying to allow Heavenly Sovereign to win? Everyone was panicking, thinking that their renewed hope got crushed before they could take a stand. Everything is going swimmingly. Zhuo Fan's attitude shifted from his previous warm and thoughtful actions, showing a harrowing bloody smile. Let's get you back inside and rest for now. We'll think about this later when you're healed. You're barely standing as it is. Luo Yuncheng was frantic. No, now's time for some good all fun. Zhuo Fan grinned from ear to ear as he turned to the startled girls with some creepy hand motions any old perv would know their meaning from a mile away. This isn't the time for that. Lei Yuding, the slowest to get away, cried out in embarrassment. Aren't you supposed to be saving sacred domain from extinction? How can you do that if you're about to drop dead? She shrank, defending her sensibilities as Zhuo Fan's hands inched nearer. As he was about to grab her, she closed her eyes, mortified from being seen like this by everyone she knew and worked with. Even the clan head was watching for crying out loud. Tagurit, Zhuo Fan bopped her nose and skipped away, laughing all the while. That insufferable punk, Lei Yuding raged, shooting after him with all she had in her anger, catching Zhuo Fan easily as he was far too weak. In bed now, on the way to his room, he slipped out of his grasp, leaving the girls baffled. They all ran all over the place trying to pin him down, while also refraining from using too much strength and worsening his condition. As minutes passed, the close calls of getting caught soon turned to never even catching a trace of him, making the girls slowly use more of their cultivation to get him, but even after 10 minutes, there was no catching him. What was baffling, he seemed to be even livelier by the second. Seeing him jumping and laughing around, the girls got into it, thinking he wasn't in that worse a state. While he was having the time of his life, one short-tempered dragon was finding it increasingly annoying, unable to take this sudden and incomprehensible shift in demeanor. Moments ago, he was sappy and corny with the girls, and now he was playing around like there was no tomorrow. And by the looks of things, there wouldn't be if things continued like this. It was no different with him unconscious or awake at this point. That's enough. He launched a fireball that Zhuo Fan barely dodged it. The attack was slow on purpose. Get him, for heaven's sake. We need him to rest if we want to stand any chance at beating Heavenly Sovereign while we're still alive. At Dragon Ancestor's furious prompt, the other experts joined in to catch Zhuo Fan. The Sword Kings and the Elders gave their best to catch him while also going easy not to make it worse, but it was only a repeat of his game with the girls, with Zhuo Fan laughing and chuckling like a child. None could truly get a good hold of him. He just always slipped away right when they thought they had him. Stand still, you monkey. You think this is a game? Dragon Ancestor's temper got the best of him and unleashed a full-powered attack, hitting him head-on, even turning into a dragon as a result. Oh no, he realized his mistake too late. There was no sight of Zhuo Fan, even in the aftermath of leveling everything in sight. Over here, Scaly, what else did you think this is? Of course it's a game, one giant sandbox, and we're its toys. Zhuo Fan appeared lounging on the dragon's snout, giving the dragon a headache as he tried crossing his eyes to see his taunting smirk. Arg. Get the hell of me, he and Zhuo Fan played cat and mouse, albeit a far more dangerous one. One slip and he would be a goner. The others watched anxiously, picturing the worst, but their fears never came true. Now no one tried joining in, not wanting to go out in a literal blaze, glory or otherwise. Yes, of course, Danking Shen gasped, coming back from his thoughts. The world is a playground, and we are its byproducts, bound by its limits and laws. Only by understanding its limits can we hope to break free of its restrictions. That's cultivation, going against the world's limits. Someone gets it. High five, Shen. The Sword King raised a reluctant hand and felt someone tapping it, despite Zhuo Fan's voice being heard from a mile away. Got you now? And here came Dragon Ancestor's fireball, forcing everyone to scatter for their lives, with Sword Child forced into intercepting it before there would be any collateral. Danking Shen, however, sat cross-legged then and there, his power growing, as did his path, with his aura changing in a bizarre way. The sky above him was warping, as if undecided if it should strike him down or welcome him. I see, Kunpeng surmised, having watched Zhuo Fan bounce around like a child for the better part of the day. He is actually using Child Sovereign's elusive dodging skill born from his path. He's going after another path. Can he do that? Xiao asked. I thought a human can only form one path in their life. I don't know the details, but it seems like he can, Kunpeng replied. We'll need to wait for him to stop the game before we can ask him. It's also helping him recover not just his cultivation after what Heavenly Sovereign did to him. It's beyond anything I've seen. Only when everyone grew tired did Zhuo Fan stop, declaring, "It's time for a vacation." The experts groaned at his whimsical persona, not getting him at all, while the girls' moods slightly cheered up, thinking they would get some more time with him. If this was going to be their end, having the last few moments with him would be best. After all, weren't vacations usually among couples or lovers in this case? We'll ask him after he comes back then. Kunpeng changed his stance, not wanting to stop Zhuo Fan from what he was doing. He knew there was a method to this madness, thought he couldn't see it. Sylvan, when is he getting back? It's been a month now. Dragon Ancestor tapped his foot harder and harder, cracking the polished marble of the meeting hall. The other experts had shown great progress thanks to the recent prismatic event, with Danking Shen exceeding everyone's expectations. He could hold his own against a sacred beast now. Do you know of any time that Zhuo Fan was random in his actions? He asked the others. Yes, everyone replied. More times than we can count. Danking Shen blinked and changed his question. But do you know of any time that his randomness wasn't part of a bigger plan? That had everyone silent, proving he was right. We just have to believe that he would come through like he had so many times before, despite his erratic behavior. In fact, being erratic shows that he's back to his old self and with a plan in motion, Danking Shen added. All any of us can do now is learn from it. It has helped me a lot, and it can do the same to all of you. Don't we all wish to find our paths to go beyond? We will find no better guidance than in Zhuo Fan. Senior is right. Brother Zhuo has his own challenges that we can never understand, but we can support him when he needs us most. We must look beyond what is deemed as the norm and pierce through the underlying reason. That is how I believe it will help us grow, as it did with Senior, Luo Yunhai declared. The door creaked open and Zhuo Fan entered with the giggling girls, now much happier than ever before. Speak of the devil, Dragon Ancestor grumbled. Have you finally decided to give us the time of the day? You don't expect me to look for you at night, do you? I don't swing that way. Zhuo Fan grinned and earning a few chuckles, as well as Dragon Ancestor flaring his nostrils. Now that we've lightened the mood, I'm coming from another meeting with Heavenly Sovereign, having given over Child Sovereign's path, Zhuo Fan said. Is that why you've been like a child for the past month? Couldn't you have told us something? Kunpeng asked. A person's path isn't just about principles, mindset is key as well. One has to have a certain way of looking at things to walk his path, to say nothing of understanding another person's. That is a toil in and of itself. I did not say anything before because I wished for all of you to see something and learn from it, as Danking Shen did. Zhuo Fan nodded at the Sword King. A straight answer will always fail to grasp the truth. You reach yourself, with your own path. Why then do you just go along with Heavenly Sovereign's demands? You know as anyone here that he will just kill all of humanity after the Sea of Blackness crisis is over. He won't change his mind ever, Xiao asked. I know, but it never hurts to try, Zhuo Fan smiled. As I'm now living up to the legacies the past sovereigns entrusted me with, I have to be alone for a while. Entering a new mindset is taxing and potentially dangerous, as it can make me forget who I am. How will you know you'll succeed? Just because you've done it once doesn't mean it will work all 10 times. You could be stuck in one for all we know, Dragon Ancestor complained. The only way to prove it is if the prismatic phenomenon will reappear, so long as said paths were absorbed by the Sea of Blackness, but we can all agree that none wants to see that happen. In case it does, Yunhai, be sure to get the people clear from the blackness immediate vicinity while also announcing our actions to counter this expansion. I will, Brother Zhuo, stay safe, the clan head nodded. Can't we come as well? Chu Qingcheng asked shyly. No, the past month was all right because we had fun and learned to live a little in tune with the path I was grasping. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Farewell for now. Zhuo Fan closed the door to the main hall, leaving the Luo clan leadership in an uncomfortable silence. I'm entering seclusion until the next prismatic event. Dang Shen walked out as well. I suggest you do the same, be prepared to make the most of it. The Luo clan looked after the sacred domain in the meantime, posting guards at a very healthy distance from the edge of the Sea of Blackness, not wanting a repeat of the first expansion. Knowing that it would grow with absolute certainty, they got the people to move from its path, assuring them that it was just a precaution and that they were dealing with it. In the case of Zhuo Fan, he didn't rush to complete the sovereign paths he inherited, while he didn't tarry either. The hardest thing a man could do was change, especially if that change was fundamental. He needed to clear his mind of the previous mindset before he could jump over to the next. There was the reason there hadn't been a new sovereigns in millions of years. Yet now, he was attempting to get all 10 paths to completion in less than a year. To say it was hard was an understatement. If there was one thing that gave him assurance this was going to work, that was the true self-art he got from his master back in the scheming demonic sect. It had never failed him. The deeper he trained in it, the more he understood about himself and the world. It was a daunting task to be sure, trying to complete 10 paths in such a short time when even one would take ages, if not eons, on a normal basis. But from the start, nothing about this was normal. Heavenly Sovereign's thirst for a cleansed world, whatever that meant, was a project of gargantuan size and length bound to have unforeseen and disastrous consequences. On the other hand, following the other sovereign's wishes in opposing the annihilation of the human race, as Zhuo Fan knew it was no picnic either. Fortune was with him or misfortune. He went through highs and lows and everything in between with the culmination of losing Yu and Shuinger. It brought about insight into the emotion path, however short-lived it was. The child sovereign's path came next, but even that he didn't feel like it was much of a challenge, since he liked to toy with people and twist the facts to suit his needs. All he had to do this time around was just follow his whims, while leaving anything devious, convoluted, and downright murderous out of the picture. While letting go wasn't easy by any means, having had his mind locked in his body, aware yet unable to act, helped reevaluate his situation more times than he could count. Next up on the list, while he was after the easy paths, would be the demonic path 9 serenities completed, which was now with Heavenly Sovereign. He gave the child sovereign's path over without a fuss, knowing he could achieve it again, having done so already. Now he went with a path Heavenly Sovereign had because he knew the final showdown would be anything but sunshine, rainbows, and a friendly handshake. Having spent most his life walking the demonic path, he understood more than anyone that everyone had their demons, whether one was aware of them or not. Perhaps this was the basis of the righteous faction's slogan, purging evil and vanquishing demons. In times of old, the righteous cultivators had noble pursuits of conquering their own demons first and achieve their path, spreading kindness and offering help unsolicited. But as with anything given enough time, there would always be changes, in this case twisted to suit the individual's needs, turning into the mainstream hypocritical catchphrase shouted by many misguided zealots. Or maybe that was how it's ever been. In all my past lives, I've yet to meet a time when one had genuine thoughts of practicing what they preach instead of looking for excuses to better their station. Looking for a quiet and remote place, he could focus on the arduous task at hand. Countless thoughts ran through his mind. Can I pull it off? Can I beat Heavenly Sovereign? Can I save the Luo clan? Would I ever find true peace? But he soon shook all the doubts and insecurities away, since no amount of delaying would ever solve the problem. Contrary to popular belief, a problem wouldn't go away given enough time. It was more prone to take you down with it instead. As he sat down in a cave he found a few mountain ranges off from the Luo clan, he focused on the bits and pieces of his past lives, courtesy of the true self-art. It would seem there was nothing this art couldn't do, so long as he stayed true to its practice. While his surface cultivation regressed, his other aspects had to gain from the truth he was exposed to of the world and himself. It proved to be a boon in forming the child sovereign's path as well. No matter how one looked at it, 1 month was hardly enough to complete it, which was why he relied on his past lives' memories of when he was a child, free and happy to do whatever he wanted with an innocent glee. Now he was taking advantage of it to complete the demonic path, an insurance against Heavenly Sovereign he was sure to help soon. The demonic path was what 9 serenities completed. It was all about reading the hearts of humanity and taking in the good and the bad, while also working on removing any qualms, resistance, and disgust one might have regarding any aspects of it. It was the awareness that humans were capable of anything. They could be saints, but also monsters in disguise. The biggest help was the trials and thought processes he went through throughout his past lives, giving him a subjective and objective view of how things were. It helped him see aspects he missed, ignored, or was blinded to. Even his want to beat Heavenly Sovereign came into question. All had to be answered and understood on the base level to complete this path. The process was anything but easy, taking days and nights stuck on simple concepts like why he wanted the Luo clan and everyone he knew to survive. The answer might come easy, but knowing wasn't enough. He had to also believe it was the real reason, not just another excuse to hide some aspect of himself that he was compensating for. And this was supposed to be one of the easy paths, but it went to show that nothing was easy in life, not even being evil. It might look good on paper or when someone else did it, but it was a completely different thing following it yourself. Even if two people walked the demonic path, the answers they would reach at the end of it might be completely opposite. This was what made one's path as unique as it could get, despite sharing similarities with another. As he twirled in his own mind with all the knowledge he had about the subject, it all came to a head 2 months later. The result did not trigger a prismatic event as the other two did. So he hasn't finished fusing he demonic path yet. Good, Zhuo Fan grinned. Fate, luck, chance, fortune, it was called many things, and as impossible as it might seem, they were making up new terms for it every other day. But if there was one thing the people were unanimous and unequivocally about, it was that destiny, or whatever kids called it these days, saw one's future. How did that even work? Through dice, bones, entrails of some exotic animal hardly anyone heard about, the movement of stars, the moon, the sun, maybe all of the above. Humanity had gone above and beyond in trying to read their own future, to know whether the next step they took would take them to heaven or stumble and fall to their doom. It also had the perks of getting rich quick. The most common methods that lasted through the endless river of time was mostly through sheer coincidence. Coincidence that divination was proven true. Otherwise, it could be that someone was on the right track, if not in method, then in mindset. Some might ask if knowing the future instantly changed it. The same future might not come to be. Others might say that reading the future was actually a part of one's future, no matter how mind-boggling that sounded. Theories about it, as with anything, was so abstract and out of reach. Thus, they greatly differed. Be that as it may, one man had, in fact, proved to all of sacred domain that destiny and fate were very much real, that it was possible to glimpse into a man's future. This man did it by looking at the stars and reading patterns and seeing plays that weren't there for the common people. What did he do with it? He made it his mission to wrest humanity from destruction and endless wars that was killing the simple man. Slaughter and bloodshed because of the whims and greed of the ones in power. Sovereign Yun's star path wasn't perfect in any case, for it could not read anyone's fate that had a higher or equal cultivation than his own. It was for the same reason he could see Zhuo Fan needing help in his journey to save the sacred domain. He used this information along with the other 8 sovereigns to try and wrest the world's course from total annihilation, as Heavenly Sovereign so graciously pictured. This help came in the form of his treasure, World Bridge. In his words, this item would help Zhuo Fan find what he sought, and it did point him in Chu Qingcheng's direction. As he sat there in his cave, mulling over what fate is and how was one supposed to make sense of all the cryptic signs heaven threw at him, he was fiddling with the World Bridge even in daytime, for time was of the essence and couldn't spare a moment of rest. But a week into his commitment to complete the star path, he came to a shocking yet equally obvious realization. He could only read the stars at night, while the result of the reading was apparent in daytime, like it happened when he sought Chu Qingcheng with all his being. As such, he would focus on the World Bridge at night, using it as a conduit to understand the stars in the sky, who they represented, their shine, their direction, every little detail he could perceive. He would go through all the information he gathered in daytime, analyzing, comparing, and contemplating before checking to see his progress the next night. This process was lengthy and hard, for it was sometimes impossible to know what you were missing even when it stared you right in the face. Taking something for granted blinds a person from seeing its true value and nature. This was his greatest challenge, to look where he hadn't looked before, yet conscious enough not to dally too much in what could very likely be the wrong direction. It was incredibly easy to get lost when he didn't even know or see a way forward. Luckily, the World Bridge covered that aspect, nudging Zhuo Fan back on the straight and narrow. Such was a sovereign treasure beyond fathom. While his mindset had shifted now to Sovereign Yun, that of seeking to read the fate of the world so he could save the people, the temptation his own personality had over him to read the destinies of all the people around him and himself was intoxicating. It beckoned him to find the shortcut in this mess with Heavenly Sovereign and the Sea of Blackness. It was a desire that plagued his mind. He would rather avoid having to live through his next lives as a pawn to that man or any other. His previous lives weren't that memorable, so to speak. It proved for naught, just wasting time. Heavenly Sovereign had grown beyond his scope, and he could not perceive his star, thus read its direction. As for the Luo clan and everyone else, their fate grew dark at one point, simply gone. One moment he was watching the stars shift, then they vanish in the next. He then tried with a more manageable subject, a simple Luo clan guard, but he too had his fate missing at the same junction. It went on for the many other people he read, even beasts. It told Zhuo Fan one thing: this was the crux of it all, of Sacred Domain's outcome. The sudden vanishing of stars could mean that Heavenly Sovereign won and cleansed the world. Other than that, the final battle had such ramifications and scope that it affected everyone's destiny, but he was just too weak to perceive it. Putting that aside for now, he wondered, would I give up even if I know of the outcome? He shook his head, realizing that he had been fighting against worse odds all his life and still came on top. Destiny might play a role, but he believed it was not everything. Which was why he was going to go down swinging. The ground shook and a prismatic light shone at the entrance of his cave, jolting him out of his musings. He peeked out of the cave, smiling. Things are going splendidly, I see, even if a bit late. There was a thunderous detonation. The world went suddenly, entirely silent but for a faint, high-pitched whine. The earth shook. Wind ripped and eddied through the Luo clan's compound, tearing at the people walking about their business and nearly dragging them over from the sheer blast. A cloud of choking dust filled the air, nipping at their lungs and making them cough. Master, not again. One man ran like mad through the billowing dust, straight to the source. What used to be a guest room to the side of the compound was now reduced to a crater as its main attraction, with its four walls still somewhat intact. They didn't last either, as a man crawled out with groan from the rubble, peppered with metal fragments from heaven knew what from the middle of the crater, which was painted a vivid shade of red. It boggled the mind how so much blood could come from one person. It was a miracle he was still alive, though by the looks of things not for long. Why do I always fail? What am I doing it wrong? The man tottered as he fell to his knees, gazing at the prismatic sky with longing, desire, and desperation. It's the third time already. What am I missing? Master, please calm down. We must get you some help, or you might really die this time, and all sacrifice will be for nothing. Yan Fu helped the man up, scrambling for some pills to patch him up for now and get him out of immediate danger. You've seriously overdone it this time, old man. See Ao's lone eye trained on the miserable figure and his crazed look. You're obsessed with sovereignty. You are sinking further and further away from your path instead of nearing it. How many times must I say it? You may seek it, but it will only come to you when you're ready. The last two attempts were mild in comparison to this one. You were on the brink of erasing your very being from this world. It's ironic how the very thing you sought saved you in the end, stopping your refining before it took you down with it. The sudden break of concentration let the volatile energy run amok. Xiao glanced at the prismatic sky with hope. Anything for alchemy, Yan Song declared without care about his precarious state, only to enter a coughing fit, spilling more blood on the ground. Master, please calm down, Yan Fu was frantic. HS Master casually took out a black vial, struggling to open it with his wounds, and a translucent pill fell in his bloody hand with a hint of prismatic glow. The action actually healed his hand like it was brand new, with the metal shrapnel simply falling out of his mangled hand. Even the prismatic sky shone stronger with its presence. I hoped not to use it so soon. I've refined it from sheer luck and insight when Yilin triggered the prismatic event, and hoped to study it to deepen my knowledge of alchemy, to complete my path. His other hand suddenly fell limp. Alas, this is the only thing that can save me to pursue it further. His eyes hardened, trying to raise his healed hand to eat the pill, only to find it numb as well. Yet under his widening gaze, the translucent pill sank into his hand, sending spikes of agony throughout his body in an instant. Next came the screams, a kind of scream one let out when begging for release. Yan Fu was beside himself with worry, not knowing what to do, what to say, yet fully aware of his futility. Amazing. Kunpeng landed next to Xiao, impassive at the man's plight of his own making. In all my long life and knowledge of humans, I've never seen them make something of so monumental importance. That pill right there can do anything. Almost, if it were complete, I believe it would even make any mortal into a sovereign, albeit only in power. How is that possible? Xiao gasped. This is the path of alchemy. As one delves deeper into its secrets, nothing is impossible. Kunpeng spoke with veneration. It is only right that such power comes at a price. He trained his flat gaze on the jerking man on the ground. With such a commotion, the Luo clan's leadership responded swiftly, soon coming to realize that it was their greatest alchemist once more. The last 2 times had been mild, in a manner of speaking, a mere shaking of the entire compound the first, followed by a collapse of an entire building the second. But this was downright catastrophic. This was a prime example of what some would go do to reach the sovereign stage, their desire to wielding power beyond their imagination. There was no describing one could do and see at such a level, earning the envy and greed of the rest of the population. As Yan Song finally finished floundering like a fish on land, he stood up, his cultivation restored to peak saint stage, after having not only his body butchered from the inside out, but his soul mangled in thousands of pieces barely hanging by a thread. I couldn't care less about the sovereign stage. My gaze has ever been set on alchemy. Nothing is of more importance, nothing, Yan Song declared. That's exactly your problem, Kunpeng analyzed. You're so obsessed with pursuing it that you are unable to see other aspects of the world. They will help you complete your path. You can't only look at alchemy. They say that to become a true expert, you need to pass down all your knowledge to someone completely ignorant in your field. Since you want to give it another go, try reaching your disciple first. Think of it as a trial to teach another of the things you've seen and discovered about alchemy. It will also help you calm down from your suicidal tendencies. Yes, master. Please show me what you see. I want to learn everything from you. Yan Fu kneeled and banged his head. Touched by the man's dedication, it stirred his own feelings of admiration for alchemy. I don't know if I can stop, but you'll follow me at every step. Together, my disciple, we will achieve the perfect pill. Luo Yunhai eased a breath, glad there wouldn't be any more destruction around his clan. Which is it this time? Can it be Zhuo Fan? Kunpeng looked around to see the elders, sword kings, and even some girls sitting cross-legged in hope of widening their perspective through this incredible event. It was insane how something only happening every eon or so, at the soonest, was popping out every other month or so. It's one of ours, that upright lady, Xiao spoke, but this time might be beyond what we can do to hide her aura from Heavenly Sovereign. It'll need all 5 of us to cover her. I just can't imagine how her event is so much stronger than when Old Dragon's disciple had the most violent advancement. The 5 sacred beasts were the only ones unattracted by the prismatic events, for they weren't humans and their power was born from chaos when the world was being formed. The 5 flew past the countless cross-legged people in meditation and arrived at Murong Zhu's room, feeling the tremendous power she was releasing, different from Lei Yuding and Yi Lai. The 2 previous events, courtesy of Zhuo Fan, had helped the Luo clan's experts rise faster and higher than anyone in the sacred domain, driven as well by survival against the strongest enemy they had ever faced. It came as no surprise some of them would grow to stand next to Zhuo Fan in power. The only question was who. It was a shock to anyone when Yilin turned out to be the first to complete his path and not Danking Shen. His path was that of the Inferno, despite being the disciple of decimating dragon ancestor, who even shared his blood with him. There was no discrimination when it came to insight and enlightenment, available to one and all, as long as they were human and were open to accept the revelations heaven offered them. Yilin discovered that fire was an elemental force that had captivated the human imagination since time immemorial, not merely a tool, a profound symbol that transcended its physical manifestations. In the Dance of Flames, one found a metaphor for the dual nature of existence, creation and destruction, warmth and peril, life and death. Fire transcended its physicality to become a profound metaphor, inviting contemplation on the intricate tapestry of existence. From the daily use of it at a basic level to the symbolic depth embedded in cultural and spiritual narratives, fire served as a multifaceted prism through which people could explore the complexities of life, morality, and their place in the world. Peering into its nature, one found not just warmth and light, but a timeless reflection of the human soul, flickering in the vast expanse of existence. The other elders were keen to hear more about Yilin's experience, perhaps helping them into crossing the final threshold and becoming sovereigns as well. Or at least help complete their paths. But reality proved cruel, for one's insights could never be translated, conveyed, shared in a manner that better fit the listener. Each human had their own prism of beliefs, concepts, wants, and needs that warped everything that was seen, heard, or thought. This didn't deter the elders, for Yilin proved it was possible for anyone to reach sovereign stage, and the Luo clan was thus hard at work to cultivate, train, and study. They were focused on reaching the highest level of power, if not for themselves, then for survival. The preparation proved worth it a month and a half later, when the next prismatic event happened. The fresh sovereign happened to be one of Zhuo Fan's girls, Lei Yuding of all the people. She had been the weakest among all the girls since she had to focus on gathering intelligence, leading a group of scouts, as well as looking after Zhuo Fan. However, when the prismatic events happened, They helped boost her cultivation to the peak saint on the very first event, with the following ones, including Yi Lin's, helping consolidate her knowledge and concepts in the path of darkness. In the velvety embrace of darkness, an arcane realm unfolds, shrouded in mystery and imbued with a cryptic energy that transcends the mere absence of light. Darkness, in its mystical essence, becomes a canvas upon which the unseen, the ethereal, and the enigmatic paint their silent tales. At the heart of this mystical darkness lies the shadowy dance between concealment and revelation. Far beyond the absence of light, it is a cosmic veil that cloaks the mysteries of the universe, concealing secrets that elude the grasp of the uninitiated. In the cryptic expanse of the night, the mundane is transmuted into the extraordinary, and the ordinary is touched by the hand of the arcane. Such were her words as her event came to pass, whatever the hell all that meant. The Luo clan found her explanation even worse than Yi Lin, if that was possible. Still, her short demonstration of robbing everyone of all contact with the world, plunging them into eternal darkness which made all dissatisfaction moot. The other girls were thrilled one of their sisters grew so strong, now able to truly help Zhuo Fan in the final battle ahead. And today, now, it was Zhu's turn. Everyone expected it to be related to fire as well, since she trained in the decimating sword art as did her elder brother. They were startled to find that her inclination was towards righteousness, the real deal, not the hypocrisy the upright sex liked to preach back in the mortal domain only when it suited their needs. Zhuo Fan had been a tremendous help when she journeyed with him years back. It helped her see beyond just doing good. As the saying went, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. She only realized how true this was only beside him. After the 5 sacred beasts twalled in keeping her aura subdued behind their barrier, Zhu was more than glad to share with them her changed beliefs in what it meant to do good. I now understand why Heavenly Sovereign said he felt the next stage after having completed his void path. Zhu came out of her room, brimming with power, but also had a noble air about her. What makes you say that? You've barely completed yours and you already sense the next stage. Isn't that too much? Kunpeng asked in shock. It's more like an instinct or vague sense of something out of reach with no idea how to grasp it. But ever since recounting Zhuo Fan's past, it all fell into place as I completed my path. Zhu replied. It is just as Heavenly Sovereign said, that you need 10 paths to fuse together for one to reach the supreme stage. But what he didn't say is that to feel it, you need to have a path that is much closer to heaven's will than those far more mundane. With everything stemming from heaven's will, any direction you take gets you close to it when completing a path, but more often than not, many paths converge into one with a bigger scope. Taking lightning, for example, it includes light, destruction, speed, maybe even a bit of heaven. All of these combine to result in the lightning path. In case of Heavenly Sovereign's void path, that must have been from the time near heaven's will's inception, being very close to its true nature. That is why he has so much power than all the other sovereigns. My righteous path touched upon the supreme stage because it involves many other paths as well, like good, evil, justice, impartiality, humanity, and even a bit of void. I can't tell if this is good news or bad. On one hand, if your path had been any stronger, Heavenly Sovereign would have noticed you despite our cover. On the other, you'd very likely have the power to fight him one-on-one if it were the old him. Maybe you could begin fusing paths to reach supreme stage as well, just in case Zhuo Fan's plan goes sideways. It always pays to have a backup. Xiao surmised. In regards to fusing paths, I believe Heavenly Sovereign is wrong about the approach. This is like brute forcing himself to reach the supreme stage, when we all know cultivation is more about what we discover and not pushing through head first. Zhu shook her head. What's the right way to do it then? Danking Shen asked with an eager look, as did the Sword Kings, driven more about seeking higher levels of mastery than actually being the most powerful. There are only so many paths to go around when each one, even the most basic path, takes too much time to complete. But to answer your question, the way I see and feel it, one has to expound on their path to include others. Taking Sword Child's sword path, he only became a true sovereign when he defeated, or rather Sword Sovereign allowing him to win. Most of his power came from his sword path, with that black thunder flame filling in the gaps. In my understanding, that flame is none other than chaos from the beginning of the sacred domain. If he had completed that path, he'd have been the strongest in the sacred domain, with even Heavenly Sovereign being nothing more than footnote in his ascension. In theory, that is, I knew that the black thunder flame has incredible power, but I never knew it was this much. Sword Child and the sacred beasts were just as shocked to hear as everyone else. To reach supreme path the right way, one has to complete or walk more paths in tune with the first one. The first always dictates your potential. It is something that I will most certainly aim for, but I'm not foolish enough to believe I'll achieve it before the final battle with Heavenly Sovereign. Zhu finished her explanation. Then we'll take what we can get. Anything that can help us turn the tides in our favor is welcomed. Our very existence is on the line, as is of every other human on sacred domain. Kunpeng smiled, filled with hope there was a fighting chance now. Could you give us your version of what the righteous path is about? Maybe it will help everyone else on top of your prismatic event in finding their own paths and boosting our stance. Danking Shen asked without qualms, more eager to further his own progress than save humanity. Ever since Zhuo Fan's enlightening speech before he left, he sensed something about the sacred domain, that the world wasn't limited to its boundaries or heaven's will. He was going to see for himself the real truth about the world or die trying. Righteousness, a beacon that illuminates the moral horizon, stands as a pillar of virtue in the complex landscape of human ethics. Rooted in a profound sense of moral duty and integrity, righteousness transcends mere adherence to societal norms. It embodies a steadfast commitment to principles that resonate with the very essence of human dignity. To be righteous is to navigate the labyrinth of ethical choices guided by an unwavering moral compass, recognizing the inherent interconnectedness of individual actions and the collective well-being of society. It is a call to uphold justice, fairness, and truth, even in the face of adversity. In the pursuit of righteousness, one confronts the challenges of moral ambiguity with a resolute spirit, striving to align personal conduct with an elevated standard of ethical conduct. As a virtue, righteousness beckons individuals to transcend the limitations of self-interest, embracing a higher purpose that resonates with the universal values that bind humanity together. In its essence, righteousness emerges not as a rigid adherence to dogma, but as a dynamic force that fosters empathy, compassion, and a deep understanding of the intricate threads that weave the fabric of human morality. It sounded more like a fanatic's speech, but the others realized she was not here to indoctrinate them to walk the same path as her, knowing they would just come to discover other truths than the one she found. She was just content to walk her own path and do everything with a clear conscience, which to her meant helping in every way she could, even if she would have to get her hand dirty in some instances. With her version conveyed, she returned to her room to ponder her own thoughts about Sovereign Stage, while the rest went to cultivate and contemplate everything that had happened, even Yan Song's drive to reach the pinnacle of alchemy. Who didn't want to find meaning in the world, who didn't want to achieve their goal, this was how they saw they could do it. They sure know how to work me into the ground. Zhuo Fan complained with a quirky smile, glad things were going his way for a change and not at the whim of Heavenly Sovereign, despite the looming danger. While before he was at another's whim, the situation of now was an improvement to say the least, though not by much. Skirting around imminent death wasn't by any means enjoyable, but things were getting even more precarious with the latest development. Soon, Heavenly Sovereign dropped by, playing the ever-insufferable know-it-all. Now, instead of something the enemy needed, he patted himself on the back at the genius move of covering the new sovereign's emergence with his demonic path. He then focused with a smile on his lips on the closely finished star path, smug his plan was bearing fruit. The joy was short-lived, however, as just a couple days after finishing the star path, another prismatic event took the skies, and with it, Heavenly Sovereign's infuriatingly precise arrival. Zhuo Fan handed over the star path after some short yet equally pointless talk about the fate of the world, looking at the upside of things. His side had 2 sovereigns and the demonic path, needing just 7 more paths to finish this and Heavenly Sovereign. But as in everything, no plan was foolproof, which was why he was once again hard at work completing the reincarnation path. He figured that all those past lives and the memories that were coming back to him after further advancing in the true self-art ought to smoothen the process. As for what reincarnation was, its essence that was hard to grasp, a simple definition would be restarting one's life after death, being reborn with no knowledge of the lives one had went through to get so far. But truth was far more complicated than that. It was one thing to say it and another to believe it, even if he had scrambled memories of his past lives, which was why he also contemplated over the transformation his soul went through as he lived all those lives. Some mundane, some violent, and very few peaceful. How were his memories erased? Why did it require to go into the next life without them? And perhaps the most important part, what was it about the soul that could allow it to do that when it was impossible to do it in one's next life unless at the ethereal stage? All these questions were bearing down on him, yet he did not have even the beginning of an answer to just one of them. Days turned into nights, and Zhuo Fan delved deeper into the mysteries of the reincarnation path. The air was thick with strange energy as Zhuo Fan's mind danced between the realms of the present and the memories of his past lives. One evening, as he was immersed in a profound trance, a sudden surge of power coursed through his body. It felt like an awakening, a key turning in the lock of forgotten memories. Images flashed before his eyes, faces, landscapes, and emotions long buried in the recesses of his soul. He gasped, his eyes wide with realization. It wasn't just about the memories, it was about the essence of the soul, the transformative journey that each life brought. The soul was like a phoenix, burning away its impurities in the flames of experience, only to rise anew in the cycle of reincarnation. Excitement and understanding flooded Zhuo Fan's being. He had glimpsed the intricate changes in his soul throughout the many lives that had lived, and the changes that would be present in the many more lives that would come ahead. It wasn't just about erasing memories, it was about shedding the old self, letting go of attachments, and evolving into a higher state of being. Armed with this newfound insight, Zhuo Fan threw himself into deepening his knowledge of the reincarnation path. As Zhuo Fan neared the completion of the reincarnation path, he felt a resonance with the world around him. It was as if the very fabric of existence acknowledged his journey, and the spiritual energy responded in kind. The air hummed with anticipation, and the skies above broke out into a vast array of colors, triggering the prismatic event. So you've done it again. I must say, little brother, you're outdoing even your past self. Barely another month has passed, and you've finished another path. Which one is it? Heavenly Sovereign spoke as he entered the cave like he owned the place. Zhuo Fan took a moment to bask in the enlightenment. Feeling how every little piece of information clicked perfectly in his mind brought a thrill like no other. What made it even more valuable was that he did it all on his own. Alas, the moment faded quick with the sudden crash of reality on his mind and Heavenly Sovereign's incessant nagging. He opened his eyes and stated, "Reincarnation path." Heavenly Sovereign frowned. "If not for killing everything you hold dear having the opposite effect of encouraging you, I'd have done it already. I'm quite certain that knowing they had a chance to survive is actually what spurs you on. But don't take my tolerance for kindness. Even if insight doesn't come when one wishes, you will do well to contemplate what I'm lacking if you want the sacred domain to exist. A little note for you to be aware of, the Sea of Blackness has now taken hold of half of the sacred domain. Soon there won't be anywhere left to run off to. I must say the irony is particularly cruel in this case, knowing that it was you who triggered it." Heavenly Sovereign's laughter echoed in the cave, rattling it as he vanished. "We'll just see who laughs in the end, but I must say, this time it was too close for comfort. Any later completing the path and he'd have found out." Zhuo Fan eased his breath.